Oh.
Dear participants, very good evening. This is Dr. Bennett, the International Faculty Development Program Secretary. Welcoming you all for the 6th day of the International Faculty Development Program. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Welcoming you all for the 6th day International Faculty Development Program on Innovative Teaching Pedagogy, Learning Skills, Research and Academic Publication, organized by Integrated Institute of Disaster Management, IITM Viluppuram, Tamil Nadu, and the State Islamic University of Madura, Indonesia, in collaboration with Standard College Manipur, Biramangal College Manipur, Nagachari College Assam, SBRTM Law College Kadapa and OUV Kadapa, Andhra Pradesh, Bhadarwah Campus, University of Jammu, Jammu and Kashmir, and Raghunath Girls Postgraduate College, Meerut, Uttar Pradesh. And today is our 6th day. As per the protocol, Biramangal College will host the show. Now, without any delay, let me invite the Biramangal College authorities to take over the session. Over to you, Dr. Nandita Maisnan, ma'am.
Thank you, Bennett, sir. Good afternoon and greetings to all. I'm myself, Dr. Nandita Maisna, Assistant Professor, Department of Home Science, Virumangal College, Coordinator of this FDP. So, on behalf, it's my privilege to welcome all the esteemed principals, collaborative colleges, and learned participants on the 6th day of the 15th International FDP. So today there will be two sessions and there will be 15 minutes
Ma'am, you are muted, ma'am. Ma'am, you are muted. Kindly unmute, ma'am. You are muted.
Oh, sorry, sir. Greetings to all. A very good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like it's my privilege to welcome all the participants on the 6th day of 15-day FDP. So today's we have two sessions, session 11 and 12, and there will be a break of 15 minutes. And today's resource person we have be the resource person, and I urge every participants to engage deeply and ask difficult questions, share best practices, and let us live this program not just with a new knowledge, but with a renewal passion for a noble profession of teaching. Let's strive for excellence. To introduce our esteemed resource person, I would like to invite, let's know about today's question Dr. Romi of Mongol College. Over to you, ma'am, Dr. L. Romi.
Thank you, Dr. Nandita Maisna. Uh, Good evening to all the participants, respected dignitaries, and esteemed faculty members. It is my great privilege and honor to introduce today's resource person, Dr. Anu Ann Pius. Dr. Anu Ann Pius is an accomplished academician and researcher currently serving as an assistant professor in the Department of Social Work at the Indian Institute of Psychology and Research. She holds MSW, MPhil, and PhD qualifications and has extensive experience in teaching, research, academic mentoring, and social science studies. Her academic expertise spans research methodology, social work practice, qualitative and quantitative research approaches, research ethics, and community based studies. Dr. Anu N. Pius has actively contributed to higher education through teaching, research guidance, conference, presentations, workshops, faculty development programs, and scholarly publications in reputed journals. She is deeply interested in promoting ethical research practices, critical inquiry, and evidence based academic learning among students and scholars. Her research contributions focus on social development, mental health, community engagement, educational research, and interdisciplinary studies. As an educator and resource person, she is known for her interactive and learner centered approach to teaching research methodology. She emphasizes the importance of identifying meaningful research problems, developing clear research questions, and maintaining ethical standards in academic and social research. Her sessions help participants gain clarity in designing research studies and understanding various research paradigms and approaches. Dr. Anu N. Pius will be delivering the lectures on session 11, Introduction to Research Types, Approaches and Ethics and session 12, Identifying Research Problems and Formulating Research Questions. Today, the 20th May 2026, Day 6, as a part of the 15-day International Faculty Development Program on Innovative Teaching Pedagogy, Learning Skills, Research, and Academic Publications. Her sessions are expected to provide participants with strong foundational knowledge and practical insights in research and academic inquiry. We are indeed fortunate to have such a distinguished academician and expert in this online FDP platform. I, on behalf of the organizing committee and all the participants, extends a warm welcome to Dr. Anu and Pius. We are eagerly looking forward to an enlightening and enriching session. Over to you, ma'am, for the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rosmi, and thank you, Dr. Nandita, and thank you, Dr. Bennett, and all the organizing committee. Hope I am able to uh, audible to everyone, right? Am I audible?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay, I will share my PPT right now, then I will start the session. Okay, hope this slide is visible to you. Can anyone answer? Is it visible to everyone?
Yes, 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 ma'am.
It's
Yes,
moving,
ma'am.
right?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, ma'am. It is visible,
Yeah.
ma'am. Ma'am, we have locked the meeting.
Okay.
Participants will be interacting with you through the chat box, ma'am. For the past few days, we have doing the same. So you can kindly check the chat box, ma'am. Participants will reply, ma'am.
During the session?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All the sessions you can check in the chat box.
Chat box. No, I'm asking that at the end of the session or during the while sessions going on
No,
also.
anytime, if you want to ask any questions also, you can follow them. No problem, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Okay. So before starting, let me thank the organizing committee for inviting me as a resource person for this 15 days in the FDP program. And I'm so grateful to be part of this team again. And I hope I will get a wonderful session with you, all the participants also. A learning experience for me as well as you all. I hope everyone will be able to understand. Please feel free to ask the questions or clarify your doubts as and when the program is going on. So today, session 11, it's including introduction to research types, approaches, and ethics. So as far as I understood from the brochure and the program schedule of the 15 days program, so till now you are having a different set of topics, and now moving to the research area or the area of research. So here we are just starting with the first session. We'll be starting with the basics of research. What are the different types and what are the approaches, different approaches, and what are the required ethical consideration we need to follow when we are conducting research. All those points we will discuss in session 11. So the outline will be, as I mentioned, introduction to research, a little bit information about the research and its characteristics, all those things. Then followed by the approaches. Mainly, we will be discussing deductive and inductive approaches in research studies. Then types, quantitative, qualitative, mixed methods. Along with that, some other few classification of research also we will be discussing. Followed by ethics, which including planning stage, conduction stage, writing and publication and presentation stage. These are the summary of the outline for the first session. So as a beginning, what is meant by research? So as the term indicating, it is a search, not simple a search, research on a topic, on a phenomena, on a area where we are having some kind of doubts, or we are having some kind of lack of information, or we are unable to discover something. So something is not known, or something is unclear about the non-information, where the researcher will do a detailed search again, and that process known as research. And here, if you're looking at the definition part or explanation of the term research, it is a systematic way of investigating new facts or verifying old facts. So two aspects are there: the systematic way of investigating or trying to find out new facts, or verifying the old facts which is already existing in the field. Second step is interpreting it based on the evidence. Whatever is the facts we investigated or already existed, that we will be interpreting based on the evidences. So for that interpretation part, we will collect some information, which may be from the primary or secondary source of information, and then we will literally analyzing that particular informations or data that we collected, and then we'll try to identify what is new in that, or what needs to be verified. And then after interpretation, it will continue with the process of generalizing the findings. Based on the analysis and interpretation, we will get some solid information which is supported with the evidence that will be generalized to the population. How much ever is possible to generalize, we will do that thing. And then finally, it involves the process of imply the results that we obtained into the practice, policy, and further exploration, or that means further research. So basically, it is a process of investigating new facts, or verifying the old facts by analyzing the data which is obtained from the population or sample, and generalizing those findings into the larger population, and finally implying the results into practice sections or policy sections or further academic or research sections. This is a general explanation for research. Now, if you're looking at the research objectives of research, we can see that thing from the definition itself. We can draw certain objectives. First of all, itself, research will be used to discover new facts or verifying the existing informations. So the first and major objective of research is to find out something new, or find out something is not known, or find out or try to verify which is existing and which has some kind of contradictory informations. Second objective will be gather and develop more knowledge in a systematic way. And third one will be using this information gathered, formulate various theories, techniques, models, interventions, or policies, or anything which will be useful for the practitioner's perspective. And when we are saying is a formulation of theories, it doesn't include a new theory. It doesn't meant only a new theory or new techniques. It can be an existing theory which will be verified with the new research, or which will be altered with the new studies. So either formulating or altering or revising theories will be also part of or a part of objectives of the research. Fourth one will be to understand social issues and propose solutions. So we all are in the social science field, and where Yes, Miss Sorry. We all are in the social science field, and we are experiencing a lot of social issues, or we are witnessing social issues or problems surrounding us. So we can use research to understand more about different social issues, and not only understanding, through research study we can propose a solution also. And the fifth objective can be resolve contradictions in the area of study. There are many studies happening. Many researchers are conducting researches on the same area. Theories are coming, and new technologies are happening. New situations are happening. The changes in the climate, changes in the situation, changes in the society, all those things are happening. With all those things, we can say that thing, there will be contradictions in the knowledge that is existing. So whenever there is, as a researcher, whenever we find contradictions in the field of study or field of interest, we can conduct more research to resolve or um, identify what is contradicting and what is currently important, that we can find out. Then another objective will be offer new insights for the existing data and validate it. Already there is a set of data, set of information, and we can add more information to that with current scenario or current data, and that will helps to validate the existing information. Then last, to fill the knowledge gaps and enhance our understanding. So every, those are in academics, we can see that thing every day new informations are coming. So research is the one best way for us to fill our gaps in the field of knowledge and enhance our understanding about the area that we are dealing with. Now, when we are moving into the purpose of research in social science, we can just classify three major purpose. And this purpose will be in a way leads to the type of research or paradigm of the research also. So the first purpose is exploration, which means that thing, through the explorative studies, the researchers can investigate a topic or idea or a social phenomena in an in-depth manner. And this is a vital in social science research for uncovering new insights. So this kind of exploratory study is normally happening when the informations are not known, when the topic or knowledge is not that much evident in the field. So something is not known, something is not studied, something is not explored so far. In that case, we can bring a exploratory study to explore what is happening right now, what is happening uh, within a particular context or among a population. Like that, we can explore new informations or new idea, new phenomena in detail. These studies are normally contributing to generate or develop grounded theories. So the in qualitative study, there is one paradigm which is called grounded theory approach, which aim to develop new theory or renew the existing theory. In that case, the purpose of the research, that paradigm, the qualitative study itself is to explore the information in depth and then formulate or develop new theory or validate the existing theory. So that is the purpose of certain set of researchers as known as exploration. Then the second set of purposes will be description. That means research can be used to describe certain scenario, certain situations, or certain issues, certain phenomena through different methods of data collection. It can be observation, it can be the interview method, or any method which is suitable. We can gather data and then describe the situations in detail or describe the issues in detail. Here we may be using descriptive statistics, more connected to qualitative and quantitative study can be possible with a description purpose. But in quantitative study, which is more suitable because we will be able to describe the situation in terms of frequency and percentage, or we will be able to describe the issues in terms of its extent of variations, or in extent of severity, we can describe it. Then in this case, we will be using the scientific methods to answer certain questions, which is starting with the words what, when, how, or what happened exactly, when it is happened, how much it is affected the community. Like that, we can start the research question with the using those kind of words. Then the third set of purpose is explanation. Till the first two set, we are exploring, we can explore something, we can describe the things happening, and then using the next set of study or purpose of explanation says that we can clarify the reasons, or we can bring the rationale of something happening, or we can bring out the cause and effect relationship, why it is happening. So normally we will address the question of why in explanatory model studies. So the purpose of research study is basically either exploring something or describing something or explaining something. So whether it can be a idea or phenomena or even social issues, whatever it is, whatever is the topic under study, if it is unknown or underexplored area, then we will go with the exploratory purpose. If it is already explored, then we can describe in detail what exactly is happening, what extent it's happening, how it is happening, all those things we can do that thing. Then once the description also happened, then we can say that why it is happening. So like that is a chain of process where we are starting to explore, describe and explain the phenomena in detail. So none of the research studies end with one results. It will be leads to a next level of study. Now, moving to the approaches in research. Uh, Approaches in research are based on the role of theory in research. Or we can say that thing, the concept of approach in research is highly connected with the theory that we are using in the research. Or another way, if you can say that thing, the relationship between theory and research in a study is deciding the approach. So theory provides always for all the research, theory provides a background and rationale for the research which is being conducted. Then this theory provides a framework within which social phenomena can be understood and the research finding can be interpreted. Without a theoretical framework, it is not possible for any researcher to explain a concept or phenomena and interpret it. And there is a strong theoretical background is required. So theory in research, we will be using theory as a background or framework. In that case, theory guides research, which that kind of research approach is known as detective approach. On the other side, certain research we can use to formulate theories. That means theory will be an outcome of research. Through research, we can develop theories or we can revise the existing theories. Such research approach is known as inductive approach. So basically, if you're looking at the approach in research, it can be either deductive or inductive. There is one more approach that we will discuss at the end of this few slides after discussing in detail about the deductive and inductive approach. So the basic difference between deductive and inductive approach, how or what is the role of theory in research? When the theory guides research, it is known as deductive approach. When theory is generated as an outcome of research, it is known as inductive approach. Now, in detail, if you're discussing about the deductive approach, this normally we can see in quantitative study. Sorry. Quantitative study. So here, studies conduct studies based on existing knowledge in a specific domain. So we will be starting with the definitely when we are starting with the research point of view, we will be thinking about what I should study. It can be come from different source. I may be interested in some area, need to explore, or I may be come across some particular phenomena which is happening in the field, or I may be observed something from my practice field that think something is not going fine. I need to understand more about. So the research idea is coming from different sources. Once the idea is come to mind, then we need to gather more knowledge on that thing. So definitely when when we have an idea about research, we will be seeing that thing, what is exactly known in that field. So then in that case, we will be conduct studies based on the existing knowledge in a specific domain. So that is exactly happening in the deductive approach. In deductive approach, the studies will be conducted based on the existing knowledge in the domain. So we will be considering the theoretical framework, whichever is able to support that studies. And then the relevant theories or theoretical frameworks will be adopting, and then we will develop a proposal and design the studies based on the theoretical aspect and literature evidence. Then, based on the existing information, we will be formulating hypotheses. That means already theories are there which can be used to support the research study. And then based on the theory and based on the existing literatures on the same area of study, we will be formulating hypotheses and objectives. These hypotheses will be tested using data which collected through certain methods. So after proposing the hypothesis, we'll be collecting data and analyzing it, and then test the hypothesis. When we are testing the hypothesis, either we will be able to reject that hypothesis or accept the hypothesis. And then based on that rejection or acceptance of the hypothesis, we will be again confirming or revising the theory as and when is required. So here we are starting with the theoretical information, theoretical background on a specific area of study, and moving towards testing hypothesis based on the data collected, and finally again confirming or rejecting the hypothesis, and which will lead to revising the theory or confirming the theory. This kind of study is known as deductive approach. This is mainly using in quantitative studies. When it comes to inductive approach, theory will be an outcome of the research. Here, it involves inferring generalization from specific observation. Rather than compared to the previous deductive approach, here we'll be starting from a vague idea or very broader perspective, and we will be collecting data, and then using the collected data, we will try do the analysis, and then inferring certain generalizations from specific observations. And then researchers start with the detailed. So for getting this particular data and inferring the information, researchers has to start with a detailed observation and move to broader theories. So here, in opposite to deductive approach, we'll be starting with observation and move to theories. In deductive approach, we'll be starting with the theories and ending up with the revision of the theories or acceptance or rejection of the hypothesis. Then in inductive approach, theoretical generalizations generated by an inductive approach, that particular process is known as grounded theory. That means this inductive approach is mainly using in qualitative study. Again, the paradigm which is mainly using for induction of or inductive approach will be grounded theory. Inductive reasoning shifts from specific to general conclusions also. And this method will help us to formulate theories or revise theories as well as, and then theory will be always an outcome of the research. So these are the basic idea about deductive and inductive approach in researches. And if you're looking at the process of deduction and induction in research, if the research is based on the deductive approach, the process starts from the theory. From the theory and existing literature, we will be generating the hypothesis, and then we'll be going to the data collection phase. And then from the data collection, we will analyze the collected data will be undergone the processing and analyzing, and then we will be reaching a certain findings. And that findings will help us to confirm the hypothesis or reject the hypothesis, which will lead to a revision of theory if necessary or confirmation of the theory. So this is a process of deduction. But when we are moving to or discussing on the induction process, we are starting with a topic with the vague ideas, and we will be going with the observations. That means data collections through observation method or interview method or focus group method, any method. But we will be collecting data on the area that we need to explore. Then we will refine the concepts using the data and then develop empirical generalization. Empirical generalization means we are developing or we are proposing certain kind of generalization based on the empirical findings. That means the data that we are collecting from the samples directly. And then after empirical generalizations, we will be identify preliminary relationship between this particular findings, and then finally try to develop a theory, build a new theory which can be again tested. So at the end of induction, we will be able to develop a theory or similar to that model or anything that can be tested using a deductive approach study. So qualitative study is always a beginner's beginning phase of a underexplored area where we'll be starting from a very, very vague idea of the information. And with the data collected, we will be refining the concepts and generalizing the findings and finally come up with a theory or model. That will be the end of that particular study. But the developed theory can be tested using the next phase of study or next set of study with a quantitative method using the deductive approach. So it is actually a wheel of science. We can't say that thing which is good or which is bad. Depends upon the area where we need to study. We need to find out whether is already existing information theories are there. Then we can just go with the deductive approach. If it is not known or if it is unclear, if there is a lack of theory, then we can go with the inductive approach. If you're going with the inductive approach, what we are generating from this particular information, so the study will be tested using the deductive approach. And even after suppose after the deductive approach based studies, if something is newly coming or something is contradictory, again we need to go back to the qualitative study with the inductive approach to explore more on that thing. So it's literally a wheel of science. So that is explained in the next slide. Here, the theory and research cycle can be compared to a relay race. All participants do not necessarily start or stop at the same point. They only share a common goal to examine all levels of social life. So it is this particular process of research with the inductive and deductive approach is considered as a wheel of science. And here we have theories, we have observations, we have hypotheses and empirical generalization. So as a researcher, if I want to explore one particular information, if that is already known, studied a lot, then we can go start with the existing theories. In that case, my approach will be deductive, where I'm starting with the theory and then proposing hypothesis and then using the observation, I'm testing it and then revising the theories. But at the same time, if I'm coming up with a topic where the informations are not clear or not studied well, theories are lacking, in that case, straight away I will start with the observations and then moving to generalization and formulating the theories that can be again tested with the next set of study. So this is a kind of wheel of a cycle or relay race where we can use both induction and deduction approach. And it is not mandatory for anyone to conduct a research study with both deductive and inductive approach, or a continuation of both is required. So it can be, when I finish one study with a deductive approach, someone else can be start from that point. If something newly explained, then they can go with the induction based studies. So this is a kind of relay. And then if you're looking at the exact difference between deductive and inductive approach, deductive approach in deductive approach, theory guides research, while in the inductive approach, theory is an outcome of research. Then the next point also, in deductive approach, theory to observational findings, but in inductive approach, observation and findings to theory. So it's in the opposite way. Then deductive approach is always associated with the quantitative research study, and inductive approach is associated with the qualitative research study. Deductive approach always moves from general to specific, and then inductive approach moves from specific to general. And deductive approach begins with why and moves to whether, while inductive approach moves in the opposite direction. It starts with whether and then moves to why. In addition to deductive and inductive approach, there will be one more approach which is known as abductive approach, which explains that moving back and forth between observing and surprising fact and developing a logical theory to explain. That means here it is not specifically mentioned whether deductive or inductive is happening exactly. There is a movement of back and forth between observation and developing theory, and how to go with that thing. So that is another set of approach. These are the basic approaches which we are following in the field of research. Now, the philosophical position of research we need to look into or to understand more about the research actually. So without understanding the philosophical background of research, if you are conducting a research, um, it is not possible to complete the study in the in-depth mode. So research philosophy refers to the foundational assumptions and beliefs that influence how a researcher perceives the world, formulate research questions, and collects data. So that means basically the philosophy behind the research is refers to the base of the assumption or foundational assumption and beliefs which help the researchers to understand and perceive the reality and formulate the research question based on the existing knowledge, collect data, and then further analyze it. So it's a paradigm actually. It's a completely structure where the researcher can or framework where the researcher can build their studies. And the core philosophical pillars of social science research are ontology, epistemology, axiology, and methodology. Ontology means it is study of reality and what exists. So here, the ontological framework talks about for every research, there is something is already connected to the reality. Something is already existing. And what is really happening, what is in current situation happening, that concept is known as ontology, or the study of reality and what exists is known as ontology. In this particular philosophical background, we will be checking, is there a single objective reality or are there multiple reality or socially constructed realities? What is exactly happening in the social context? So one reality, single reality or multiple reality, or reality will be objective or subjective in nature. All those things we'll be discussing in that line. So here the major paradigms or the philosophical positions comes under ontology are objectivism and constructionism. I'm not going in detail with objectivism and constructionism or any of the philosophical foundations as the time constraints is there. Then the next core philosophical pillar is epistemology. This is study of knowledge. So what is already known in that field? Ontology talks about what is reality or study of reality, but epistemology talks about the study of already existing knowledge. How do we know what we know? What is considered valid and acceptable knowledge? What is exactly found available in the field, what is already found by the expert in the field, and how we can come to know that thing, what is considered in the existing knowledge, what could be considered a valid and acceptable knowledge, is the knowledge in a particular area is real or fabricated, or the knowledge is connected to the reality. All those things will be considering in the epistemological framework. The major framework comes under that are positivism, interpretivism, and realism. Then the third pillar is axiology, which talks about the role of researchers' values in research process. That means what are the ethical considerations and values and beliefs possessed by the researchers in the process. So this is exactly the last topic of today's first session, the ethical considerations to be followed in a research process. So axiology talks about the researchers' values in the research process. It includes the ethical considerations also. Then last one is methodology. That means the overall strategy and methods that used by the researchers to investigate the reality based on the existing knowledge within the value system of the researchers. So when I'm connecting from all this pillar, we'll be able to say that thing. As a researcher, I want to study about a current situation or a phenomena. That means reality, what is happening exactly within that, based on the existing knowledge. For that particular information, there is already some knowledge is existing. And then I have to use certain appropriate strategies and methods to collect data and conduct research and then test the reality based on the existing knowledge. During the entire process as a researcher, I have to keep the value system, and ethical aspects in the research. So this is the core philosophical pillars of research. Now, when we are moving to types of research, there we can see different classifications. The most important classification to explain the types of research is qualitative and quantitative. In addition to qualitative and quantitative, mixed methods also there. So qualitative research explore underlying reasons, opinions, and meanings using non-numerical data. As the term indicating, we will be using non-numerical informations, the information which is in-depth in mode, which will be explained with words and expressions. So those kind of data, non-numerical data, will be collected and analyzed, and then trying to explore the concept or facts or phenomena under the study. So that kind of studies are known as qualitative research. Here, we will be using numerics or numerical data minimally to describe the nature of the participants, or to a certain extent, we will be using the numerical informations for how many codes, how many themes have been emerged, like that. But beyond that, qualitative research will be explaining the information shared by the participants in a depth manner. And while in quantitative research, we measure variables and test hypotheses using numerical data and statistical analysis. So here, opposite to qualitative research, we can see numerical data, and using that numerical data, we will be conducting multiple statistical analysis and then test the hypothesis, and finally we will be confirming or rejecting the hypothesis, which will lead to a revision of theory or formulation of new one. Then mixed methods will be a combination of both qualitative and quantitative approach, which provides a comprehensive understanding of a research problem. So there are certain conditions we need to go with the mixed method research study. So if an area is completely underexplored, we can start with the qualitative study with the exploratory purpose, and then from the exploratory study, we can develop some kind of tool or some kind of interventions, and using that, we can test using the next phase of study, quantitative study, we can test that interventions, and we can triangulate the information from qualitative and quantitative findings, and finally say that for addressing this particular social issues or social conditions, this particular model can be useful. So we are coming up with a vague idea or very underexplored area, and then come up with a lot of qualitative information which help us to develop the model or intervention, and that can be tested using quantitative approach, and finally it can be given to the practitioners. So that is the exactly one example of mixed method, combining two approaches, qualitative and quantitative approach, to provide or to give a more comprehensive understanding about the research problem. Through the mixed methods, we can explore which is not known, we can describe, as well as we can find out the reason, we can test and confirm whether the model or the intervention that we are developing will be useful. Or we can, again, if you're starting with the existing information, so that means a quantitative study, then we can go with the further qualitative study to support the quantitative findings that we are exploring the first phase. So like that, it is a combination of two methods, maybe happening in two phase or more than two phase. The order can be qualitative, quantitative, like that, or quantitative, qualitative, or it can be parallel also, qualitative and quantitative happening parallel. So like the different methods are there. So basically the three major types of research, which is qualitative, which we deals with the non-numerical data, non-numerical informations, and try to explore the concept under the study. Then quantitative research is normally dealing with the numerical data, and using statistical analysis will be testing the hypothesis and confirm the things. Then mixed methods, where we will using both approaches together one by one, that means sequential model or parallel model. So this is about the first type of classification. So now if you're looking at the difference between these three, primary focus of qualitative studies will be exploring ideas, meanings, and experience. That means basically, if a researcher feels that particular area under the study is not explored enough, then they can start with the qualitative study. Then the primary focus of quantitative study will be testing between groups and measuring and quantifying the informations in the social sector. Then mixed methods will be using combining the breadth and depth of depth of the qualitative and quantitative methods to cross-validate the findings. That means we have both qualitative data and quantitative data. We'll be using both data to support or validate, cross-validate findings from one phase to another phase. Then data type, if you're looking at in qualitative study, it will be non-numerical. It can be words, audio, video, observation, experiences, expressions, all those things can be. While in quantitative, it will be numerical. Numerical data, which can be scores, percentage, matrices, anything. Any numerical informations can be considered for the quantitative studies. Then the mixed methods, both numerical and non-numerical data will be there. Then common methods can be used in qualitative study are, that means methods in terms of data collection methods, observation, interviews. Interviews will be semi-structured or unstructured interview. Focus group interview can be there. Case studies can be there. Then while in quantitative study, mainly we will be using survey, using questionnaires or scales. We can go with the online or offline surveys, but we'll be using certain kind of questionnaires. It can be either structured questionnaire, to some extent semi-structured questionnaire can be used, but more or less structured questionnaire, or scales. Scales are the questionnaires, only structured questionnaires, but which is developed through a rigorous process of psychometric scale development and establishes psychometric properties. So either we can use the self-prepared structured questionnaire or scales to conduct the survey, or we can conduct experiments or interventions, or we can even use the structured observations. All those things are the method of data collection in quantitative study. When it comes to mixed method, we will be using either sequential method or concurrent method. That means in sequential method, we will be using quantitative followed by qualitative or qualitative followed by quantitative. But in concurrent method, we will be using quantitative method, data collection method and qualitative data collection method parallelly. So the data collection will be happening either sequential mode, one by one, followed by quantitative to qualitative or qualitative to quantitative. Or it can be happen parallelly. Data collection can be happen parallelly for quantitative and qualitative. In those phases, whether it's a quantitative or qualitative, we will be using the respective methods which is exclusively meant for qualitative or quantitative in mixed methods also. Then sample size for qualitative study comparatively smaller, and we'll be going mainly with the purposive sampling method. When it comes to quantitative study, sample size will be larger and representative samples. Here we can go with multiple data, different sample selection method, random or non-random sample selection method. And then in mixed method, it varies, typically matches qualitative depth with quantitative scale. So the number will be varying based on the phase, quantitative and qualitative phase. And again, it will be connected to the requirement also. What are the questions? How many or what is the design we are using? For example, in a mixed method study, if you're going with a qualitative phase with a case study method, we required minimum 2 to 3 cases. That is a minimum thing. Again, we have to go with the data saturation as a concept of deciding the sample size. So basically it says that in mixed method, sample size will be varying as per the quantitative and qualitative methods adopted in each phase of the mixed method. Then data analysis in qualitative study, will be mainly thematic analysis and based on the coding and identifying patterns. Then quantitative method, it will be statistical and mathematical analysis happening mainly. Then finally in mixed method, individually the qualitative data will be analyzing using the respective thematic analysis or coding or narrative analysis or whichever is method is suitable for that thing. And then quantitative data will be analyzed using the statistical and mathematical methods. Then finally triangulate both results, quantitative and qualitative results obtained from the respective analysis, and integrated this in analysis into both data sets. That is happening in the mixed method. Then goal of the qualitative study is to understand why and how things are happening. Quantitative study to determine how much, how many, and what effect, what is the relationship between those things are measuring. And in mixed method, to answer complex questions require both numerical proof as well as the subjective experience of the participants, human context. So there's a basic difference between qualitative and quantitative and mixed method research. Then the next type of classification is descriptive versus analytical research. Descriptive research, okay. Descriptive research, sorry. Okay, descriptive research is concerned with the delineating the what and where and when of a given phenomena, survey or population, while intentionally reframing from the influencing any variables. So this is connected to the purpose of description, and where we will be asking questions with respect to what happened, where it is happened, how it is happened, when it is happened, all those things. When it comes to, sorry, not how, happen when it comes to analytical research, the research will be trying to elucidate the answer for why and how about a particular phenomena. So here, this is in descriptive research, we can go with the quantitative and qualitative research method. And analytical research will be mainly going with the quantitative research. Whatever is the classification given as a quantitative, qualitative mixed method, it can be seen here also. This is another kind of classification. Descriptive research provides a detailed account of the phenomena under study, where the analytic research offers explanation and interpretation of the data concerning to that particular study. Then the next type of classification is fundamental research, which is also known as basic research, which aims to enhance our theoretical knowledge and understanding the natural or social phenomena without focusing on immediate commercial applications. So normally we can say that in the field of science, the fundamental research or basic research are happening. There we will be using the research methodology to enhance our theoretical knowledge or understanding. But in social science field, we can see that thing, rather than the fundamental research, we are using the applied research. It can be quantitative or qualitative or mixed method, but we are using the research methods in the applied field to know more about the social context or to address the specific practical problems and develop the solution or technologies for improving the human conditions. So this is a basic difference between fundamental and applied research. In social science field, most of the cases will be going with the applied research. But there also we can bring the fundamental research. If the information is completely not known or something is newly happening, then we can think of bringing fundamental research or basic research. Then another classification will be conceptual versus empirical research. Conceptual research is focused on the development, re-evaluation, or analysis of abstract ideas and theories, where we are mainly depending upon the secondary source of information, and it does not engage in practical experimentation or the collection of real world data. So basically, we can conduct researches based on the existing knowledge, existing data, existing books, and then we can make a conceptual paper or conceptual report. And where another side, we can conduct the empirical research, which is based on the data that will be collected directly from the participants or from the samples or from the field. Then we are using the fresh data and then conducting the research and then enhancing the knowledge. So that kind of studies are known as empirical research. So whatever we are doing right now from as a research by collecting data from the participants or from the field, and then using the data we are bringing new informations or new insights in the field. Those kind of research are known as empirical research. So here we are completely depending upon the data which is derived from the participants. This approach tests the theories and hypotheses within the real world context through experiments, surveys, observation, and finally validating the theories or the knowledge which is existing. So in the conceptual research, we can just do a literature study or a thorough study on the existing knowledge, and then we can explain this is what we have observed, or this is what we can conclude from the existing information. So we are not going to test that information, is it real or not. That testing will be happening in the empirical research. Now, moving to the last topic of the first session, ethics in research. This is the most important phase of a research where every researcher has to be taken care of the all ethical aspects from the beginning to end of the research. When I'm saying end of the research, it is including the publication, presentation, or wherever you are going to talk about your research. It may be after 2 years conducting research or 5 years after conducting research. Doesn't matter. But we need to keep some ethical aspect from the beginning to the last point of the research. So for this particular perspective, Dainer and Crandall in 1978 explained 4 principles which should be followed by the social science researchers. And these principles are whether there is a harm to participants. When I am conducting a research in the field of social science or medical field, or even sometimes whenever there is research is conducting with the participants, with the human beings, we need to ethically very well aware about what are the things happening in the research. And during that research or due to that research process, any harm will be caused to the participants. That is the first principle. Technically or ethically, we can say that thing. We need to, as a researcher, we have to take the measures to reduce the harm as much as possible. Either no harm or very minimal harm to the participants. Even if there is a situations where the some kind of or some possibility of having some kind of harm to the participants, need to take in the precautions for that thing. How to handle that harms if in case something happens suddenly in the research. How as a researcher I can handle that situations. So basically, as a researcher, I need to ensure there should not be any harm to the participants. Even if it is a harm is there should be a certain precautionary measures to reduce the severity of the harm to the participants. Second principle talks about whether there is a lack of informed consent. So as we are doing the research with the human beings, we need to take the written informed consent from every participants. So when I'm saying written informed consent, it has 2 components. Consent, it should be informed. The participants should be completely informed about the research study, its goal, aim, process, and how we will be using the data. All those things should be informed them. And after informing all those things, we need to ask them or request them to give their consent in writing for participating in the study. So that is a written informed consent. It is a mandatory requirement. And if in case our participants are minors or unable to give their consent due to any physical or mental health issues, in that case, we need to take the consent from the person who is the guardian or parent or teacher, whoever it is, who is having the responsibility on that particular person. We need to take the consent from those persons. Then the third principle talks about whether there is an inversion of privacy, which talks about the researcher should keep in mind throughout the process. There will be many occasions or situations where the researcher will come across to the private informations or personal informations or their personal life related matters. So we need to keep a boundary there. Even if you have come across or come to know certain things, we have to uh, limit our involvement or uh, keep a boundary for our involvement in that particular area. What is required for the research that we can ask them and we can get it. But do not interfere on the participants' privacy at all. Then the last principle talks about, is there any deception involved? So this talks about, in simple words, as a researcher, am I cheating the participants? As a researcher, am I cheating my colleagues? As a researcher, am I cheating the academic community? As a researcher, am I cheating the entire society or community? There should not be any kind of cheating involved or deception involved in the process. These are the main four principles which discussed by Danner and Candle in 1978. And all these principles needs to be mandatorily followed in the research process. Now, if you're looking at the ethical considerations for social science research in detail, Creswell has been given a number of ethical aspects, which is based on the four principles that we have discussed so far in 2023. So he has classified or he has given the ethical consideration by phase of the research. First, he has mentioned about the ethical consideration for uh, the stage before beginning the study, the research phase where the study is not begin. Before beginning, the moment we start to think about a research, what are the ethical guidelines as a researcher I have to take it? So this exactly starts with examine and understand the code of ethics or professional association standards within the field. For example, as a researcher, being a social worker or being a psychologist, if I'm conducting a study among human beings on a particular topic, I have to first check what are the ethical aspects I have to keep in mind as a social worker or a psychologist, and what are the professional associations. It can be American Psychological Association or British Psychological Association or Indian Psychological Association. So there will be some association for every discipline, and universities or research organization will be accepting or will be following the certain code of ethics in every discipline. So with respect to your discipline, what are the code of ethics and which are the professional association standards we need to follow? That has to be examined and studied first. Or we should be careful, we should be aware about all those code of ethics. Then after that, you need to consider about the permission part of your research study. You need to seek permission or approval for your research study with the college or university or the funding organization, whoever, or the government, wherever, whoever is the authority, we need to get the permission to conduct that research. If it is a college or university or in academic situations, academic context, each university or organization or college will be having an institutional review board. So we need to develop a research proposal with all the required details and appendices, supporting evidence, and then submit to the institutional review board for approval. Ethical approval we need to check. While submitting that thing or when the university or the organization's review board is reviewing the proposal, they will check whether the proposal is bound with all ethical guidelines, all necessary ethical points, whether the proposal is having a strong methodological and theoretical framework. They will check all those things and finally give the approval for conducting research. And for seeking that approval, you need to prepare a research proposal. And for that, you have to select the site, identify the sample, and select the site where you can meet your participants, and then keep an eye on that thing. Keep an understanding about where all you can go and meet them. If you don't have an idea about your participants, where you can meet them, where you can identify them, then without knowing that, if you are submitting your proposal and getting approval, you will be having some kind of difficulty in terms of its implementations. While going to the field, you will realizing that thing, it is very difficult to get the data from that particular area or context. Then your entire study will be freezed. So in order to avoid those kind of difficulties, while developing the proposal itself, you need to ensure where you can conduct the study, who will be your sample, all those things, and obtain necessary permissions or approval from the sites, organization, or authorities. Not only identifying the sites or organizations or the area where you can conduct the studies, you need to obtain the permissions to get into that community or get into that organization to collect data. So you need to understand that thing. So your site, where exactly it is, and if the site requires a permission to enter and conduct study, you need to obtain it prior. And if it is a general population where you are randomly going to the participants, then in that case, prior permission is not that much important. But you should have an idea from where you will be able to get the samples. Then the next point regarding the ethical consideration before starting it, negotiate the authorship for publications. So normally, research is conducting by more than one or two people. In that case, if there are more than one people, you have to have an understanding with the co-researcher with respect to the authorship. Who will be the first author? What are the criteria to be followed for getting the authorship? Who will be the second author? Who will be the corresponding author? If it is a student supervisor, then who will be the first author? If it is a co-researchers, who will be the first author? Principal investigator is there, research coordinators are there. So different roles are there, different peoples are involved in the research who are eligible to get the authorship, and at the same time, who will be what could be the order of the authorship. All those things needs to be discussed and negotiated, and then reach a consensus before starting the study. If there are multiple researchers involved, then plan to keep the burden or harm of research participants to a minimum level. So that means I already mentioned as a principle, there should not be any harm to the participants. Even if there is a possibility of harm to participants, take care of or bring the necessary precautionary measures to reduce the harm to the participants. This is one of the important aspect in ethical points that we need to consider before beginning the study. Next phase is while beginning the study. That means it again starts from the proposal formulation or proposal development. While beginning the study, you need to always think about, consider a problem which is beneficial to the academic world, research world, practitioners world, and larger to the society also. Do not take any random topics which never have or which don't have any kind of benefits to any of the group. So identify and select a topic or select an area of study which has some kind of benefits to either practitioners or researchers or academicians or policymakers or community at a larger perspective. Then disclose the purpose of the study. While beginning the study, you need to disclose the purpose of the study clearly, and you need to, after disclose the purpose of the study to the participants, you need to obtain the consent, informed consent in written format. Then do not, for that getting that or obtaining that informed consent, do not make any pressure to the participants to sign it. So you have to simply explain what is this and how you are going to conduct the study, and how you will use the study, what are the ethical points you will be ensure, your ethical considerations you will be taken care during the study. All those things you explain them. After that, seek their consent with a requesting mode. If they are willing completely, they can sign. Do not give any pressure to any of the participants to sign on the form. Then You need to always respect the norms and charters of the indigenous societies or communities. If you're going to a particular community, this is especially related to the qualitative study, because qualitative study is mainly happening with the communities. Sometimes we may go and visit the certain communities, for example, rural community or fisherman community or a tribal community, or in any situations. If you are going to meet a participants from a particular community, particular background, or any particular society, uh, we have to respect their values, norms, their cultures without any fault. Then assess the burden of the research on participants. For keeping the precautionary measures or planning the precautionary measures to reduce the harm, you need to know that thing, is there any possibility to harm? And if there is a possibility, how you can understand one or two participants are having some kind of harm during the process. You should have some kind of assessment. You should have some kind of understanding or measures to understand the possible harms that can be happened to the research participants. And then what could be the what could be the level of harms that can cause by the research. Then assessing all those things will help us to formulate the support system for the participants who are having some kind of troubles. So, while beginning the study, next point you need to consider is that be very sensitive to vulnerable populations and their needs. Always you need to be very careful with respect to your community, your participants. Are they vulnerable in nature already? Even if they're not vulnerable, you need to be very sensitive with each participants. But if in case they're vulnerability can be it can be based on any reasons. It can be based on their socio-cultural background, or it can be based on their ability or disability. It can be based on their personal identity, or it can be anything. So it can be based on their age. Are they vulnerable? If they're vulnerable, you need to be very sensitive with respect to their needs. You need to be very, for example, if you're conducting a research with a disabled group, we are not supposed to say that word exactly, disabled group. They are also having a lot of skills, right? So right now we are not using the term disability. But at the same time, when we are conducting some kind of research with any people who are having some particular difficulties, in that case, we need to understand what are the possible difficulties that will be that can be happen during the process. How I can address their needs and requirements during the process. This should be very well studied and understand. Be include all kinds of precautionary measures to address the needs of the vulnerable population that you are going to conduct the study. Another example, if you're going to conduct a study with the old age populations, in that case, again, you need to think about, are they able to sit through the interview process for a longer period of time with respect to their age or difficulties that they are having it? If they don't have that capacity to sit along for the interview process, you need to plan your interview in such a way that which will not affect um, uh, their life or their situations. So you need to think about what they need, what they wanted, and how we can address them. So like that, you need to be very sensitive with the needs of the vulnerable populations when you're conducting the study. Then the different ethical guidelines which needs to be considered during the collection of data or data collection phase. First one is respect the site and do not make any kind of disrupt in the community or site. If in case it happens, ensure it is very minimal, or as much as possible, it should be less in amount. That means respect the site, do not disrupt the site at any cost. Respect their socio-cultural perspective, respect their personal value system, respect their way of living. You are the outsider in that community. So in that case, you need to give all kinds of respect to your participants, especially in qualitative study. When we are going with the ethnographic design, the researcher will be staying with the community for a longer period of time. In that case, during our stay with the participants or during the process of data collection, we need to be at most careful about respecting their diversity, which will be completely a diverse situation from our own situations, but we need to respect them. Second point regarding the ethical consideration during the data collection is make certain that all participants receive the same treatment or experience. So that means the way you are treating, the way you are conducting the data collection process, the way you are treating the participants, the way you are addressing the participants, the way you are giving any kind of exposure interventions to the participants, everything should be same to the whole participant of that study. That means if you have 100 participants, all the participants should get same treatment from your side. There should not be any kind of disparity or discrepancy in that particular treatment. Then third point will be collaborate with the participants, stakeholders, and community partners as and when required. Do not omit any persons who is a valuable person who is capable of giving some kind of information, and do not keep aside the organizational requirement, or do not keep aside the stakeholders requirement and their conditions. You need to consider different beneficiaries and benefactors or different stakeholders of your research equally during the process of data collection. And then while collecting data, you need to be very careful about deception, any kind of deceptions involving in the process or not. You can't deceive, you can't cheat the participant at all. Please avoid any kind of cheating the participants. That, for example, the participant had given one particular information and you feel that thing it is not matching to your study, and thinking to change that slightly in favor of your study. It is a deception actually. So you need to report, you need to take the data as it is given by the participants. Do not make any change. Do not falsify the information. Do not do any kind of malpractices in the data. Do not cheat them by hiding certain information with respect to the research, which is essential for them to know. Like that, avoid all kinds of deception or cheating from the process. Respect potential power imbalance and exploitation of participants from the site or during the data collection. That means during the data collection, you will be come across with the different participants. Sometimes you will be meeting participants together or in qualitative studies, or sometimes you will be going with the different participants. So you will be experiencing or you will be witnessing different power imbalances and happening between the participants, or from one participant to another participant, there will be a difference in with respect to the way they are presenting, where they are sharing their information. So there should be a balance mode. You cannot exploit one participant when you are seeing that thing, that participant is very weak. So you can get more information that thing from that participant. That should not happen. So you need to ensure that thing you are not exploiting any participants at any point of time. Do not use participants by gathering data and leave the site simply. That's one of the important point. You need to acknowledge for their participations clearly at the end of the data collection process. And it is not, sometimes it will be happening beyond the acknowledgement also. You have to show your gratitude to the participants one side. At the same time, certain conditions, if you're going with a particular study concerning to small children's, then in that case, you can think of by giving some kind of small chocolates or gifts, but it should be same to everyone. So certain groups we can consider to give something as a token of appreciation. It should be same for all the participants. That's the only thing. But it is not mandatory. At least you need to acknowledge them properly, and then your gratitude towards them should be visible throughout the process. Do not leave the participants simply after collecting data. Avoid collecting information that harmful to the participants. When you're collecting data, if you come across that certain information which is not required, or which can be harmful to the while sharing that information, it will be causing some kind of trouble to the participants. Please don't go with that mode at all. Avoid those kind of data collection procedure at all. So during the data collection, you have to ensure that the participants feel comfortable and they are not facing any kind of difficulties in terms of answering answering to the questions, or in terms of sharing their experiences. So ensure that there will not be any kind of situations where you're seeking informations or collecting informations which will lead to harmful situations to the participants. Then during the analysis phase, you need to be very careful with respect to how to analyze the data. Do not analyze the data in a wrong way. So do not take the side of participants' views completely. That means that normally happening in the qualitative study, the high chance of taking the side of one participants or in favor of few participants will be doing the analysis. So that should not happen. We have to treat all the data, all the participants' informations equally, and then we have to look at only the data, what the data says. Do not take the participants as it is in the analysis phase. You have to consider only the data. In quantitative study, this falsification may happen by disagreeing or disregarding data. Or that means sometimes we feel that this data will be leads to a situation where we can't prove the hypothesis. In that case, we are simply discarding the data without including the study. That also should not happen. So we need to take the data which are eligible for the purpose of study, and then we have to completely analyze it without any prejudiced mind. Then avoid disclosing only positive results. That is one of the major fault happening in the field of research. And after doing the analysis, when the researcher sees that there is some negative results, there is some contradictory information, there is no results which is having no significant informations, that will be hiding. That is a wrong pattern in the research also, wrong ethically and legally wrong also. We need to be disclose the results without any kind of malpractice or without any kind of fabrications, irrespective of the result is positive or negative in its quality. Then, while doing the analysis, we need to respect the privacy of the participant. That means in the data, ensure that we are hiding the all identity revealing informations clearly from the beginning. So consent form, the basic social demographic details where the participant informations are there, all those things you need to hide properly, and then you can take the information only, data. All personal identity revealing information such as name or email ID or any contact details or any other relevant informations should be hidden when you are taking it for analysis. And you can make a new original, the master data will be with you. From the master data, you have to omit certain informations which will give a hint to the participants' identity. So we need to completely keep the confidentiality of the information that the participant sharing and the anonymity of the identity of the participants also. These three components are highly important, and this is important not only in the phase of analyzing data, it is important in the later phase such as writing report, publication, presentation, and all the remaining time also. Know where we can reveal the personal identity or the informations that is shared by the participants. There is some exceptional cases in that if there is a informations which is harmful to the person himself or to the society, then with the consent it can be revealed to the right authority. And that was there also you need to keep the ethical guidelines, how to share that information, when to share that information, all those things. That is only permitted If in case there is a harm, as a researcher, you find that in this particular information can leads to or particular situation can leads to a harm to a society or that person himself, in that case, you can take a call to discuss the same thing with the same information with the right authority to help that person as well as the society. Then while reporting, sharing and storing data, what are the things we need to be, or what are the ethical points we need to be taken care? First thing, avoid falsifying authorship, evidences, data, findings, and conclusion. So here it talks about falsification of a number of aspects in the research. First of all, we cannot falsify the authorship. That means should not give authorship to a person who is not taken part in the study just for the sake of getting it published or getting it accepted, getting for some other benefits. Do not sell the authorship to anyone. Other side, you need to ensure, or you have to ensure that thing, all the people, all the researchers who are taking part in the study, who is scientifically significantly contributed to the study, should get the authorship also. So be very careful with respect to falsification of authorship in the reporting and publication phase. Similar way, falsifying evidences, falsifying data, findings, conclusions, that means any kind of malpractice with respect to evidence, data, findings, and conclusions that coming from our research should be avoided. Do not plagiarize. That means do not copy the content or idea or information or studies or methods, anything from any other person's work. Or also we can say that thing, do not self-plagiarize also. If you yourself published that information already, and when you are taking that particular information to your new study, there you cannot simply take that information by saying that thing, the information or the original idea is developed by myself. You can't do that thing. In that case also, you have to you have to acknowledge the person, you yourself, in that particular new document also. So avoid self-plagiarism and plagiarism completely from your document. That means should not copy any information from any previously conducted studies or books or source of information. Avoid disclosing information that would harm to participants. If some informations are very harmful to the participants, and then you need to be very careful how to present it in your results. You need to hide the basic information about the participants, and then certain information which is highly causing harm to the participants, then think about whether it should be included in the study results or not. Communicate in clear, straightforward, appropriate language during your writing, presentation, and publications. So your writing as well as presentation of your results should be in a clear, straightforward, and appropriate language. It should be convincing to the readers or audience. It should be not contradictory. It should be simple. It should be with the evidence. So there should be a clear communication pattern, clear presentation pattern from your side to the audience. Then you need to share data or report with others in certain conditions. So here sometimes you need to share the data with the research and academic community. For example, while publications, sometimes for cross-checking the data and studies, the editorial team or review team may ask you to share the data. In that case, you are bound to give the data, but ensure that thing you have to give the data through the proper submission channel, and hide the necessary identity revealing information from the side of participants before handing over the data. So this is about the sharing data. Sharing report with others, including the participants, different stakeholders have the right to know about the results. So you have to be always careful whenever they are asking to share the reports, you need to be ready for that thing. And while sharing that data, also ensure that sharing that report also ensure there is no informations which leads to the identification of the participants directly. Then do not duplicate or piecemeal publications. That means you are conducting a research study with 5 objectives, and don't think about making a 5 different paper from that 5 objectives. If the data demands, if the study demands 2 separate papers, you can obviously go with that thing. But just because you have 2 variables and you need 2 paper publications, don't make 2 publications from each variables, or using 2 variables making different publications is not a right method actually. So you have to be very careful about piecemeal publications. That means you are breaking your entire study into pieces and trying to publish it. There are chances, there are cases or situations where you can publish multiple papers from the same study. For example, if it is a mixed method study where you're having quantity phase, then qualitative phase, then you can think of publishing 2 papers based on the quantitative study and based on the qualitative study. It's not an issue. Or you can or you can go for a publication from the review of literature phase as well as the results phase. Fine. But suppose you have a study which talks about the 2 variables, variable A and B, and how it is different from male and female. In that case, do not try to go for publication based on the difference of A between male and female, and the second paper is difference of B between A and B. That way, breaking down or making into pieces of your study, it is not advisable and it is against the ethical aspect. Along with that thing, duplicate publications. At the same time, you cannot send one paper or one information to more than one place or journal for publication or presentations. You need to be very careful. If you send one article to one journal, wait for their responses and decisions. After their decision comes, if it is accepted, you can go with that particular process. If it is rejected, you can think about submitting same article to a new journal according to that particular journal's requirement. So that means at the same time, it is not possible to send one paper to different journals for publication thing. Or if it is already published information, that also you need to avoid while publishing a new information. Then provide complete proof of complaints with ethical issues and lack of conflict of interest clearly in your report. That means you need to be very careful about what are the possible ethical concerns arise in your study and how do you address it, what are the precautionary measures you have taken. So there should be a complete proof of complaints in terms of maintaining the ethical aspect in your research, and ensure that there is no conflict of interest from the beginning to the end of the study. That means formulation of the study to dissemination of knowledge. There should not be any kind of conflicts of interest between the parties who take part in the study, between the parties who were joined for the study as a researcher or co-researcher or a funder or a trainer or a data collection in the data facilitator, whatever way. If whoever is joined with your team to conduct the study, there should not be any kind of conflict of interest between you and any parties involved in that thing. So these are the major points related to ethical considerations, especially for social science research, according to Creswell and Creswell. This is completely derived from the ethical principles that we discussed in the beginning of the class. And second thing, it is also all these points are connected between different disciplines, connected between different association, connected between different code of ethics also. The same points you can see in the discipline of psychology as well as in the discipline of education. You can see the same principles in the discipline of economics as well as in social work. So there is The moment we are conducting a research with human beings, we need to, irrespective of whichever discipline, whichever university, whichever profession you are in, you need to ensure that thing you are upholding all the required ethical aspects from the formulation of the research problem to the dissemination of the knowledge. That dissemination of knowledge can be happen through report, dissertation or thesis or report submission. It can be happen through publications. It can be happen through publications in, or that means newspaper publications or online publications, or sharing information through social media. It can be happen through conference or academic presentations. It can be even happen through a conversation between you and your friend also. Wherever you are disseminating the knowledge from your study to someone else with any mode of communication, written, oral, formal, informal, offline, online, irrespective of any mode of communication, ensure that thing uh, you are completely going based on the ethical aspects, and you are not cheating any of your participants, not cheating any of the stakeholders involved in the research, and you are completely upholding the ethical and legal boundaries, legal aspects required to conduct the studies. With this note, I am just winding up the session 1. These are the references for the points discussed in today's sessions. You can refer Social Science Research Methods written by Alan Bryman, and you can also refer to different versions of um, research design books given by Creswell from 2014 to 23 to 2014, 18, 23, like that. There are many. 2023 is the latest publication, I think. So all the books from the author of Creswell and his colleagues in connection to research design, you can refer for all this information. Along with that thing, you can refer the C.R. Kothari's research methodology books, currently which is with the 5th edition. The books are available. Soft copies are available with the 2nd edition. So you can just identify all these particular books, either from online stores or offline stores, or from your university libraries or college libraries. And along with all the research methodology book, one more book I have completely referred to get the information related to ethical aspects, American Psychological Association's publication manual also. So all these books are available in your universities or online stores. You can refer and get more information about the points that we have discussed. With this, I'm just stopping the session 1. If there is any doubt or anything, we can clarify now.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am, so much for your highly enlightening us on this session on research on the topic this introduction to research type approaches and ethics. So I would like the floor is open to the audience for any question. If you have any query, you please raise your hand, or I will raise your hand, or you can just come to the chat box and ask question to our eminent resource person. Ma'am, it was it was a very interesting topic, which.
Thank
So
you, ma'am.
any question, please? Any queries? The floor is open to the audience. Yes, there's all lots of comment appreciating about the session. It was very informative.
Did anyone raise any question during the session? I could not check the chat box in between.
Yes, ma'am. I'll just check. Wonderful. Say, these are all the good comments, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So I think there's no
I think
any
one
queries
person
regarding.
has raised the hand, ma'am.
Please,
Dr. Basanti,
Dr. Basati,
you can unmute and ask the
can
question.
you can unmute yourself and ask a question. Lots of appreciation for your
Participants, short.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I'm seeing that thing.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, we are going for a short break.
Yes, we can. Then we
Yes,
can start the next
6:25.
session quite
Thank you.
early because next session I have
Yeah, by
planned with a
6:25.
small activity also. So if I get more
yes,
time there,
please, ma'am. Yeah,
uh,
please, let's have a break for 15 minutes, ma'am.
yeah. So 6:10 right now, 6:25. Can we join back?
Yes, please. I
Yeah.
request all the participants to join by 6:25.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay. See you, ma'am.
See you. Bye.
Huh? Yeah, 15 minutes break, like. Ah, great. Yang what lagi? Shall we start, ma'am?
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Please. This is the second session, ma'am. Uh, I hope all the participants are online.
Think then shall we start? Ma'am, can I start now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay.
Please.
Ma'am, you can start, ma'am. You can start, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So once again, good evening to all. So now we are moving to the next session. It is including the topics of research problem, how to identify research problem and formulating research question. This exactly I'm talking in terms of quantitative research methods mainly. So I hope that in the coming sessions will give you an idea about the qualitative research and mixed method research. So I'm not going in detail with those aspects, but with respect to quantitative research, how we can formulate the research problem. And more or less that concept will be same for the other methods also, qualitative and mixed methods also. But when it comes to formulating research question, that has a difference in quantitative to qualitative to mixed method. So that topic I'm talking in terms of quantitative research method in today's sessions. And in the upcoming class, you will get more information about those particular points in terms of qualitative and mixed method research. So right now we'll be starting with the first overline or outline of the session. We'll be starting with the steps in quantitative research, then moving towards research problem. What are the different sources and characteristics of good research problem, and how to identify research problem and formulate a proper research problem, how to formulate title, how to formulate research question, and what are the different types of research question. At the end, if time permits, we can just have a quick activity in terms of this particular topics. So moving to the first topic, steps in quantitative research. If you are referring research methodology books by different authors, you can see the number of steps will be varying slightly from one book to another book. These steps I have taken from Kothari's research methodology books, 5th edition. If you are looking at another research methodology textbook, the number of steps will be slightly different from this one, but the content in this process will be same. So here in this book, they have explained in detail each steps they have explained. That is the reason I have taken this particular reference for today's discussion. So for every research, the first step will be irrespective of quantitative or qualitative or mixed method. The first step itself is to formulate the research problem. So how we can formulate the research problem? It is actually happening from our interested area. The research is where or which topic I want to study, which area I want to explore more, which issue I faced in my practice, which I need to find out a solution. Somewhere the problem will be having an interest towards my interest as a researcher. And based on that interest also, we need to identify a proper research problem, which should be beneficial to the community, which should be testable or possible to study, which should have some kind of implications. Like that, we need to think about a lot of aspects for formulating the research problem. At the same time, Just because I am interested in an area and then conducting a study on a particular topic, for example, stress. I'm conducting a study on stress between male and female. So many studies already conducted. Then why again I'm conducting a new study? If I could not give a rationale for my study, even if I am interested in that thing, there's no point of conducting it. So your research problem should be based on the relevance of that topic. Somewhere that needs to be studied, or that topic needs to be explored in the field right now. It's a demand from the side of society. It's a demand from the side of academic community, or it's a demand from the side of practitioners. Then we can think of. Otherwise, just should not go based on your interest. There should be a rationale for each research problem, and it should be beneficial to the society. These are the most important three aspects. Should be based on your interest, should be beneficial to the research community, society, or the different communities in terms of academic community, or research community, or practitioners community, or people who are in the government sector, policy level, people who are working in the policy level. So
Oh,
somewhere it should be beneficial to
दो
the.
ही रही है, दो ही रही 8:30 the due.
Kindly unmute yourself. So somewhere it should be beneficial to the society. Third point, it should be having a rational relevance in the current scenario. These are the main important points by formulating research. And how you can formulate the research problem? Nobody can formulate a research problem by sitting in one chair and just thinking of something and then picking up here and there. You need to have a systematic process for that thing. You have to understand what is already known in that area, what are the theories available to support your studies. For all those things, what is the gaps existing in the field? To know all those things, you need to conduct a thorough literature study. You need to read a lot. So, though the second step is mentioned, extensive literature survey, from my experience, I would say the literature review process is the first step. Or it can be said as a step which is starting from the beginning and ending with the last minute of submission of your report. Till that, from the beginning to the last minute, you have to continue the process of literature review, even though it is mentioned by different authors as a second step of the research process. If you're writing an exam, you can say that the extensive literature review or literature survey is a second step of research methods. Fine. But when you are, it is not the second step alone. It is a step, or it is an ongoing process. The moment you are thinking about a research, the moment you are start to formulate a research problem, till you are submitting your report either to university or to journal or to wherever you are going to submit it. Till that, it has to be continued. So the process or step of extensive literature review or literature survey include a thorough study of existing knowledge. From where we can study the existing knowledge? From books, journals, magazines, government reports, organizational reports, grey literatures, law, any documents related to law. So pertaining to that area or topic under the study, whatever information is officially available, we need to read all those things and identify what is exactly happening. What is the knowledge on that area? That is talks about the epistemological aspect, right? Without knowing the epistemology, that means the knowledge in the area of your study, your interest, you cannot formulate a research problem. You cannot conduct a research study. And then you need to literally developing your research problem, and then you will be working on your proposal. You will going through the next step, each step process, which including development of working hypothesis, preparing research design. From there to last step, you need to simultaneously do the reading of existing literature and upgrading your idea, knowledge about the area that you are going to conduct a study or that you are conducting a study. And then there are different methods to conduct the literature review. There are different strategies are there that we can discuss in tomorrow's sessions. Then anyway, after the literature review as a second step, if you're looking at the next step, step 3, 4, 5, 6, all those things are part of your methodological framework. So you need to, for a quantitative study, definitely you need to propose your aim, objective, and hypothesis. Working hypothesis. That means the tentative statement that can be tested using statistical measures. That is a hypothesis. So you should have an aim. You should have objectives, which is a breaking or sub points of sub questions of your aim, and corresponding to objectives. If there is a just objective is just a descriptive in nature, it's fine, which doesn't require a hypothesis. But an objective which has a characteristics that can be tested, then it should be developed with a hypothesis also. So hypothesis is nothing else. It's a tentative statement which is proposed by a researcher that can be tested using the collected data. And after testing, either the researcher can confirm the hypothesis or reject the hypothesis. That will lead to new insights into the existing theories or existing knowledge. So you need to develop a working hypothesis. When I'm talking about working hypothesis, before hypothesis, you need to think about your aim, objective, and all those things. When you're working about the research problem, you need to think about the statement of the research problem, title, as well as the research question. So you are developing on this process or over this process, you are developing your proposal. After fixing the hypothesis or along with fixing the hypothesis, you need to fix your variables. You need to fix the line of analysis. What are the different analysis you can carry out? You need to fix how do you measure each variables. That means which scale or which questionnaire you will be using. If you want to test the hypothesis using an inferential statistics, you should use certain tools which is tested and validated. That means a scale, psychometric scale that can be measure a particular construct or variable, and then you will get a score that can be used to test the hypothesis. So if you're not identifying an appropriate scale to measure your variable and just fixing hypothesis or objective, there's no point. At the end, after data collection, you will not be able to do anything. So your aim, objective, hypothesis, variables, tools for data collection, and statistical analysis all are connected. So this is happening parallelly. So when you are reading a area, when you are reading about a particular problem, when you're thinking about a research thing, you need to parallelly think about how I can collect data, which method I can adopt it. All those things you need to think parallelly. Otherwise, if one is lacking or one is not matching, your final analysis can be, it will be difficult actually. So, it's an important area for your research proposal development to fix the title, research question, aim, objective, hypothesis, variables, uh, tools to measure the variables, and statistical analysis can be used. All should be connected, discussed, and revised parallelly and fix it. Along with that thing, you need to think about the sample. From whom you will be collecting data? Who will be your sample? Who will be the population? From the population, how will you select the data samples? And what are the inclusion and exclusion criteria you need to consider for selecting the samples? What are the sampling methods you need to consider? What could be the appropriate sample size? How can you determine the sample size considering the different design and statistical analysis you need to consider? All those things you need to be considered. So you are developing your proposal with the hypothesis, research, appropriate research design, sample design, and data collection and analysis methods. Now, again, research design and hypothesis and analysis are highly related. If you're going with a correlation research design, your hypothesis should be give an indication for a relationship between two variables or prediction of one variable on the other variable. Then only you can say that in your design is correlation research design. In that case, your analysis will be Pearson product moment correlation or Spearman rank order correlation, or sometimes if it is a regression prediction, then you can use simple linear regression or multiple regression or logistic regression. Depends upon the nature of data, you can identify one method. But you cannot use a comparative analysis for a correlation research design. So all are connected. So you need to fix that thing. How, what I should study. How and when I should interpret it or how to analyze it. What are the methods I can adopt it? So with all those things from step 3 to 6, development of working hypothesis along with objectives and aim, preparing the research design, preparing the sample design with respect to sample size, sample selection methods, sampling criteria, preparing the data collection method. Are you going with the interview method or a survey method? Are you going with any other method such as uh, uh, psychometric tests, psychometric scales, or questionnaire method? That means you are giving the questionnaire or form to participants and ask them to fill it, or you are going to conduct the interview with the scale that you are choosing it. Different methods are there. You need to fix all those things. Then analysis method. If it is a correlation analysis, what could be the analysis? What are the different analysis methods I have to propose it? If it is a comparative analysis, what should be the method? If it is an intervention-based studies, what should be the method? Everything has a clear-cut structure in quantitative analysis, quantitative research study. So you need to fix all those things. And along with that thing, you need to finalize your proposal, though it is not mentioned in the step as it is. After the sixth step here mentioned, you need to fix the proposal, complete the proposal with the relevant theoretical and literature background, with the introduction to the topic, with the appropriate aim, objective, hypothesis, different methods you are going to use it, and end with the ethical considerations. What are the whatever ethical consideration I have mentioned in the previous session, you need to clearly go through, and what all things you need to be taken care in your study. You need to literally explain how you will meet these ethical guidelines as a last section of your research proposal. With all those things, with the relevant appendix, you can submit your research proposal to the authority. It can be your institutional review board, or it can be a funding organization review board, wherever, or it can be to a government if you're conducting a research project to government. So irrespective of to whomever you need to submit the, for whom you are conducting the research, you have to submit the research proposal to them and seek the approval. Once the approval is obtained, then you are literally going to conduct the study. That means execution of the project, which means you are going to collect the data, meet the sample, select them, inform them, and then get the consent and collecting data. This process will be happening. And there, after collection of data or execution of the project, you will gather all the information into particular software. Right now, we can use multiple software. So you can use the appropriate software. One best example for processing the data, you can use Microsoft Excel itself, or any other software also you can use it. And you have to process the data in detail, whether the collected data are matching to inclusion criteria or exclusion criteria. If not, if any data is not matching to the criteria, or if they're not matching to the sample, then you need to eliminate that data. If any data seems to be filled without any thinking, filled randomly, you need to omit that data. If any data has any particular issues, contradictory informations, if any data seems to be done inappropriate way, then all those things you need to, or any incomplete form, all those things you need to keep it aside. Then you will be having your final data, which is ready for analysis. And that data you need to process clearly with certain steps: editing, coding, analyzing, scoring, all those things you have to do. And the final process data will be exported to the right software, either SPSS or Jamovi or R. Depends upon your interest and your requirements. You can use one of the software and you can do the statistical and mathematical analysis. So based on the objectives and hypothesis, you need to test the data with respect to certain assumptions. And if the assumptions are meeting, you can go with a certain number of analysis. And if the assumptions are not meeting, you can go with another set of analysis. All those things you can learn one by one when it comes to the next steps actually. So it's a process of statistically analyzing data with the help of software based on the set objectives and hypotheses. You may be using descriptive statistics such as mean, median, mode, standard deviation, range, or you may be using frequency and percentage if it is a descriptive question, or you may be using inferential statistics such as t-test, ANOVA for comparative research design, or you may be using inferential statistics such as correlational test or regression analysis or moderation or mediation analysis in correlation analysis or higher level of analysis. There are different tests. So you will run that test using the software and analyze it. And along with that thing, the hypothesis, when you're analyzing the data, first you will analyze the objectives and then the hypothesis will be tested using the appropriate inferential statistical methods based on the assumptions meeting it. And after that two steps, analysis of data as well as hypothesis testing, you will discuss the results in detail. You will interpret the table results. The results obtained from the analysis will be interpreted statistically as well as in terms of the existing knowledge. You will connect with the existing informations. What other studies, other researchers says, whether my findings are corroborating with the other studies or not, whether my studies results are same with the other studies or not, whether it's a contradicting or not, whether it's a new information. All those things you will discuss in terms of your existing literatures. And then finally, you will try to generalize the results. Quantitative studies can be generalized to a certain extent to the population. Not all the quantitative study, but if you are having certain kind of criteria, if you are reaching certain assumptions, then you can definitely generalize the results to the similar populations. So you will do that generalization and interpretation in connection to the existing literature and theoretical framework. And then finally, write down or draw the implications of the research that you are bringing up. That means each research you need to think about where I can use this information, where someone else can use this information. So each research you need to think about with respect to its implication. Implication can be in to the field of practice, or to the field of research, or to the field of academics, or to the field of policy making, anywhere. So for example, if you find that one particular intervention is effective to reduce the stress level among students, you can write the implication that in so and so technique is very effective to reduce the stress level among students. So it can be used by the academicians or universities or colleges or schools with respect to the population to reduce the stress level of students. Like that you can imply it. Same thing if some informations are leading to some policy formulation, you can recommend or you can imply that results. I think it can be useful to generate a new policy. Government officials or policymakers can think of in this line. Or some research results will be indicating the scope for new research study at all. In that case, you can say that thing, this research implies the scope for a further study, further exploration required, further studies required to confirm these results. So you can draw the implications after doing the generalization and discussion of your results, and then finally prepare the full report as per the structure provided by the university or organization, or if it is a publication related thing, as per the journal standards, you can make a report or paper and you can submit it. This is a process of research, quantitative research. So there'll be some difference of this process in terms of design, in terms of certain topics. Minor slight variations will be there, but more or less this process you can see in every research. Now moving to the next topic, research problem. So this is the first important topic in today's second session. What is meant by research problem? So it says that in general, it refers to some difficulties which a researcher experienced in the context of either a theoretical or a practical situations and wants to obtain a solution for the same. That means, as a professional, as a researcher, either I have experience in my practice field or academic field or research field, or I have witnessed someone else or my clients are having some kind of issues. That means somewhere in my practical professional life or my personal life, that means in the practical situation, I'm experiencing or witnessing certain phenomena or difficulties, certain issues. This is one scenario. Or when I'm reading it, when I'm upgrading my knowledge, I strongly feel some kind of theoretical conflicts or some kind of conflicts between the informations, some difficulties in understanding a concept. That also I can consider as a difficulty in terms of theoretical perspective. So any difficulty as a researcher that I experience or witnessing in the context of either a theoretical or a practical situations can be considered or defined as a research problem. And the researcher will consider that problem to understand more about that problem as well as to try to find out the solution for the same. So this is the explanation for research problem. Then what are the different sources of research problem? Contemporary interest. That means what is the large society, what is the current interest of the society, academic society or research society or politics, government side or any perspective. What is the, as a society, as a community, what is largely focused? What are the most important phenomena discussed? What are the most important issues discussed and needs or required for some kind of revision or solution? So that way, contemporary interest, from the contemporary interest from the field of academics or research or practice, we can consider uh, for deciding an area to conduct a study, and from that we can formulate the research problem. Second source of the research problem is my own, as a researcher, my own interest. From my practice, professional, personal life, where I am stuck with some information, where I want to explore something new, where I have more interest to explore something, that can be considered. Then the third source will be gaps in the field. What is not available right now? What information is not known? What information have some kind of contradictory things? Those, that means something is not there in the existing knowledge. Some gaps is there. To fill that gaps also, we can bring the studies. So from that gaps also, we can formulate the research problem. So these are the three main sources of research problem. Now, what are the characteristics of a good research problem? Every research problem should be stated in a clear and unambiguous nature. There should not be any kind of confusion in that thing. When you're stating something, you should be thoroughly studied and say that thing, what is known in that thing, what is not there in that thing, and what is the background of that thing, and why do you want to conduct a study. There should be a clear and unambiguous statement with respect to research problem. Then research problem should be logical and systematic. Do not randomly bring any research problem. Every problem should have a logical and systematic connections and systematic background also. And the research problem should be empirical. That means it can be tested with the real data. Then only it has a scope. If something which is not testable with the real data, then what is the point of formulating that thing? So the research problem should be empirically tested, or there should be a scope for collecting data from the primary or secondary source. Doesn't matter, but there should be a scope of data, and with that data, there should be scope for testing it. That is known as empirical in nature. It should mention the relationship between variables. So especially in quantitative research study, when you are writing about a research problem, there will be multiple variables. Consider to explore it. And some kind of relationship should be there between that variables. Do not take randomly any variables and just simply put it into the title or research problem. So mention what is exactly happening, what is the exact relationship, or in the current situations, or as per the literature review, as per the theoretical framework, how your variables are related as of now, and what you are expected. That you have to state in your research problem. It should be verifiable, and finally, it should be interesting. It should be an interesting topic to you as a researcher and to the larger community also. So when I'm saying interesting, it is not only just for the researcher. The topic should be interesting to the community or the society or the academic, some group. There should be some audience for that thing. In simple terms, there should be an audience or reader for your research findings at the end of the process. If your topic is not interested or not relevant to the current situations, or if it is an outdated topic, then there won't be any reader for that thing. That will affect your career, your credibility. So these are the basic characteristics required to consider for a good research problem. Then criteria for selecting and formulating the research problem. It is not mandated to all these criteria to be met completely, but you have to, as a researcher, you have to ensure that I think more or less all those criteria are meeting to a certain extent at least. The first criteria for formulating a research problem, researcher's interest. Even if it is a contemporary interest, source of information, research problem says, I think society is too much interested in a particular, or community is too much interested in a particular topic. For example, something related to social issues related to communal aggression. It's a very discussing, interesting topic for the community, academic community, research community. Fine. But as a researcher, you don't have any interest on that topic. Then how can you conduct the research? How can you immerse yourself into that process? If you are not interested, please do not take any research topic. Your interest is an important element in the process of selecting the research problem or topic. And it doesn't mean that thing, only you need to look into your interest also. That means both side you need to balancing it. Then the next topic is significance and relevance of the problem. So this I am connecting with the previous topic. You should be having an interest. At the same time, the topic should, or the problem should be having a significance in the current, or relevance in the current scenario. There should be some kind of scope of exploring that particular thing. Then you can consider. Then you need to consider with all, even though you are interested, the topic is very much relevant in the current scenario, but you need to consider the field aspect. Is it feasible? Is it possible to conduct the study in the current scenario? You need to think about the different field considerations, practicability, feasibility, approachability, all those things you need to consider. Then applicability, where you can use this research. That means if you are getting a research, where all you can propose that research, where all you can, what all kind implications you can draw from the results, which are the people can be used this results, all those things you need to think about. Then coherence or rationale of the concepts and variables, you need to think about, is there any rationale to conduct a study on the same topic? If there is to the topic is interested, relevance is there, other criteria are meeting, but too many studies on the same topic, then why again a study? You need to think about that thing. There should be a coherence or rationale for bringing the concepts and variables into your research problem. Then availability of the data, you need to think, are you able to get the sample? Are you able to get the data? How much data you are able to get it? Is there any difficulty in that thing? You need to think about all those things when you're formulating the research problem. Ethical and legal issues pertaining to the same research problem, you need to think about originality. How much the originality you can give it, or novelty you can give it to the research field, that you can think about a research program. Already so many studies are conducted and all the factors were explored, all the things were explored. Then what you can bring as a novel findings? Is there any novelty to conduct that study again? You need to connect it with the rationale. Then you can bring the originality concept. And should not, that one more aspect of originality, should not copy idea the different people are working on the research, right? And when you are talking to your colleague or a friend and talking about some particular interest that he or she had, and she is planning to, or she or he is planning to conduct a research study, and then taking that idea and making a proposal or research problem as your own, it's not a good deal actor. So you need to consider the originality. Is the idea is yours? Do you really feel it? Do you want to study it? How do you come across with that? All those things are matter. Then manageability, feasibility, usefulness of the topic problem you need to think about. Magnitude of the work, how much resources required, how much effort required, how much time required, what are the resources, materials, financial as well as materialistic requirement, resources required. All those things you need to think about. What level the researcher's involvement is required? Are you capable of doing all those things? Anyone else is required to data collection or support you? Do you are you able to do with that particular study or statistical analysis? All those things you need to think about. And then magnitude of the problem also, how much it is extent, how much it is the extent of that problems or severity of the problem. All those things you need to consider. Level of expertise and competency of the researcher. Irrespective of all those things, as a researcher, you should have the expertise in conducting that research. You should have the expertise in that particular problem area. If you are not known, if you are very unfamiliar to that particular problem or topic under the study, it is very difficult to conduct. You are having interest, but you don't have any expertise in that thing. For example, if you want to conduct a study as an intervention mode using applied behavioral therapy, and as a researcher or as a therapist, are you able to conduct that applied behavioral therapy at the intervention level? You need to think about that line also. So if you're not able to do, at least you should have a co-researcher or a therapist who can join with you and conduct that thing. And you need to be with them throughout the process. Or you yourself should be equipped with that particular therapy to conduct it. Similar way, every phase of the results. So connecting to that problem, what are the expertise required from the side of researchers? What are the competency of the researchers which is required for that particular topic? All those things you need to. Your interest, your competency in understanding that problem, your expertise in the field, all those things are important to decide the research problem. Then available resources in terms of time, money, material, data collection requirement, analysis, softwares, all those things you need to consider. So it is actually a tedious task for a researcher to bring with the appropriate research problem considering all this criteria. Sometimes some criteria we may ignore it, fine. But you need to ensure that the problem should be relevant, which should be in your interested area, which is matching to your expertise and competency, and should have some kind of applicability. And it should be feasible to conduct the study. All those things you need to consider to formulate the research problem. Then now we are going with a step-by-step process where starting with how to develop the statement of the problem. So here in the title, you can see that thing, developing the statement of the problem, research question and title. So my idea is to explain three concepts: statement of the problem, research question, and title together one by one. So each are connected. From title and research question, we are further developing the object, aim, objective, and hypothesis. So this should be very strong enough. When we are doing this thing, we need to think about the variables, we need to think about the tools that we can measure that variables and analysis. So we need to keep all those things in our mind, and then we need to develop the problem. So when you are writing or stating the research problem, it should be in a very general way. It should not be very complicated. It should be understanding for anyone who's reading that thing. Understanding, you need to understand the nature of the problem in depth. Read a lot. Literatures, magazines, newspapers, books, theoretical aspect, wherever you are getting right information about that particular thing. I'm repeating it, right information from the right source. That is an important aspect. From that, you need to understand the nature of the problem in detail and survey maximum literature, published evidence. When you are conducting research in an academic field or a research purpose, you need to ensure that thing you are supporting your study or proposal, any report, anything with a strong literature review. So strong literature evidence. For that, you have to start the literature process, the literature review process from the beginning with a systematic way, and then collect maximum information. And here, literature evidence means literature evidence from the reputed and good journals. Do not go for any journal which is predatory in nature. If the journal is predatory, and we need to think about the the genuineness and the content, the genuineness of the content actually. So find out the literature study from the good journal, good publishers, or high impacted journals. That means simple words, it should not be from a predatory journal. There are a number of predatory journals in the current scenario. With respect to different disciplines, a number of predatory journals are there. So you need to be very cautious about identifying literature evidences from the good journal which is published or which is accepted in the academic and research community largely. Then with the support of maximum literature evidence, developing the ideas through discussions. You need to, it is not a single one-man show actually. Even if you are working on a research proposal, you have to discuss with your colleagues. You have to, but you should be very careful, should not discuss too much with any random people also. You need to be very careful, and you need to select the people whom you can trust also. That means the idea that you are bringing up should not leak from that person to anyone else. So you can have a good academic and research discussion or scholarly discussion with your colleagues or with your friends or with your other people who are surrounding to you to know more about your problem. And then with all those, with the first 4 steps, you need to rephrase, second, third, and fourth step, you need to rephrase the research problem which you stated in the beginning. And then your research problem should be supported with facts or evidence or statistics. That means you can bring some statistical information to point out this particular issue is highly prevalent in the current scenario. So like that, you can quote some information, statistics, which can be published in newspaper, which can be published in government report or any non-governmental organization, international organization report, fine. But you need to quote some kind of statistics or evidence, or at least research evidence says that I think this topic is highly relevant to study. So like that, you have to state your research problem in 1 paragraph or maximum 2 paragraphs. It is not required to explain very elaborately. It should be a very concise, clear, unambiguous statement which can be comprised in one paragraph, maximum 2 paragraph. Certain cases it can be extended a little bit, but just keep the limit from your side with respect to explaining your research problem. And then moving to the research question, once you develop the research problem, parallelly, you can develop the research question, or immediately after that, you can develop the research question. A research question represents an inquiry that can be answered regarding a specific concern or issues. So you already developed a statement of the research problem. From that statement of the research problem, you can literally make one or two questions which can be answered through the data we are collecting it. So it's a question, literally a question, which represents an inquiry that can be answered regarding or concerning to the specific topic under the study or issue under the study. It serves as the initial step in a research project. And if you're able to frame a research question in a well designed way, a well manner, then your half job is done. This initial steps indicate that once an individual has formulated an idea regarding the subject of study, the research question becomes the first proactive measure undertaken in the research project. So that means it is the first step, proactive step or measure taken by the researcher in consideration to the research topic. And from that research question, we are going to develop the further title and aim. But this research questions definitely arise from the statement of the research problem. So, those who are reading statement of the research problem and research question should agree that thing while answering or when the researcher gives the answer for this research question, that will be the explanation for the statement of the problem. So you are getting that idea, right? So it is interconnected things. Now moving to the title. Sorry, before moving to title, the types, certain types of research question you need to understand. There will be quantitative research question and qualitative research question. I will in detail discuss with the quantitative research question, which aims to measure variables, frequencies, or trends to provide statistical snapshot of a population or a phenomena. In quantitative research, this quantitative research question, there will be three different types of research question. Descriptive research question, the first type, which aims to measure the variables, its frequencies, trends, to provide a statistical snapshot about the sample or population or the phenomena. And these questions focus on answering who, what, where, when, or how much without manipulating, without changing, without making any change in the variables or establishing a cause and effect relationship. The purpose is not to establish a cause and effect relationship. The purpose is not to manipulate the variables and test the effectiveness or influence of that thing. It is just to describe what is happening. And we will be using the descriptive statistics mainly to answer this research question, such as mean, median, or frequency, percentage, something similar to that. The example for descriptive research questions in quantitative studies are: what proportion of patients diagnosed with type 2 diabetes attend routine follow-up appointments? So that's a one question. This indicate that thing, how many patients type 2 diabetes patients are attend the routine follow-up appointments. So there are a number of patients who already diagnosed with the type 2 diabetes with a clinic or hospital settings. Among the total patients reported or diagnosed with the type 2 diabetes, how many of them are coming as a routine for a routine follow-up? That could be one question. With that, we can just the proportion, we can bring it out of 100 diagnosed cases, only 60% are coming, or 60 patients are coming for follow-up, routine follow-up. So that will be the answer. Another example is, on an average, how many hours per week do remote software engineers in India spend in virtual meetings? So we can say that we can collect the data from different software engineers who are using virtual meetings, and then find out how many hours or how much time they are spending, and then find out the average time they are spending per week. What are the most frequently used social media platforms? Frequency, we can use it among teenagers aged 13 to 17 in Karnataka or any other place. To what extent are the local residents satisfied with the current municipal waste management service? How much? 80% of the people said that I think we are satisfied the current municipal waste management service. 20% are not satisfied. So we will be able to reach a particular information which will describe the topic under the study. So it will be describing the characteristics of the phenomena or characteristics of the population under the study in terms of number, frequency, extent, or variations. So that is all about the descriptive research question. Next is comparative research question. Here, a comparative research question in quantitative research examines the difference between two or more groups regarding a specific dependent variable. So here, for example, we can measure the stress level between males and females or stress level between married and unmarried population or knowledge on government system between rural and urban people. So we can do a comparative analysis between two groups or more than two groups, how this particular dependent variable is differ. So that is the main agenda of framing comparative research question. This kind of questions will be mainly seen in non-experimental comparative research design or intervention-based research design also. We normally use inferential statistics tests such as t-test, different t-tests or different ANOVA tests or MANOVA to compare the scores between different groups. Examples for such questions are, what is the difference in standardized mark test score between 10th grade students taught via traditional lectures and those who taught via interactive digital modules? So two groups are there, students who taught via traditional lectures and students who taught via interactive digital modules, and how their math score is different. So that is a one example. Similarly, what is the difference in average recovery time in days between post-operative patients who use telemedicine follow-ups versus those who use the traditional in-person follow-ups? Again, two categories are there. We are trying to find out the difference of the recovery time, average recovery time among the post-operative patients who are regularly coming for a traditional person for in-person follow-up and who are follow-up using a telemedicine option. What is the difference in stress level between university students living in on-campus and those who are living off-campus? Another comparative study. So in all these examples, I have given only two categories. It can be with more than two categories also. The analysis will be different in that case. That's the only aspect which differ from this question to, two groups to more than two groups comparison. Then the third type of quantitative research question is with the relationship of research, relationship research questions. Here, the major concern when we are framing the research question will be find out the relationship between or association between two variables or how one variable is predicting the other variable. So it literally examines the relationship or predictive role of variables in a particular study. So here we will be using all this kind of questions we can see in non-experimental correlational research design or mediational analysis or mediation research study, moderation research study. Everywhere we can see this kind of questions actually. Often use statistical analysis such as correlation, either Pearson or product moment Pearson correlation or Spearman correlation, or biserial or point biserial correlation, or Kendall's tab correlation. Different correlation techniques are there. Statistical analysis are there. Or regression analysis, simple linear, multiple regression, logistic, log linear regression. So depends upon the nature of the data, we can find out the appropriate test. So either correlation or regression or mediation or moderation analysis normally using to identify the relationship between two or more than two variables under the study. Then the examples for such questions are, is there a significant correlation between daily screen time on social media and reported stress levels among teenagers? Sample is teenagers. Variables are daily screen time on social media and report a stress level. Is there any correlation between these two? Those who are having more screen time is having high stress or low stress. That relationship we can easily find out using a correlation analysis. Is there any association between daily caloric intake and resting heart rate among adults aged 45 to 65? Another example. What is the relationship between hospital wait times and patient satisfaction score? So we can conduct a simple survey among the patients who's coming to a hospital and how long they are waiting to meet their doctor and other requirements for lab test or buying medicines or any other purpose, and their satisfaction, patient satisfaction. Is there any relationship between these two? If there is a relationship, that means theoretically we can say that thing, if the hospital, the time they spend, more time they spend in hospital to wait to get the service leads to a low satisfaction. That means the hospital management has to take care of all those things. They have to bring certain measures or precautionary measures or strategies to reduce the waiting time for the patients. Then only patient satisfaction will improve. Then only hospital service will be in a better condition. So all these things are connected. So we will be able to figure out whether is there any relation between those two things. Do annual salary and organizational culture predict the job satisfaction level among corporate employees? How much the annual salary and organization culture togetherly contributing with respect to the job satisfaction of the employees? So this information can be useful for the corporate companies to ensure that I think their employees are satisfied. They are satisfied in terms of their job by ensuring proper packages and proper appropriate culture, organizational culture in the company. So it has implications, right? So like that, you need to develop the research question in terms of its scope, what you want to exactly identify. So if it is a descriptive research or correlation research or intervention research or a comparative research, depends upon the way you need to frame your research question also differ. Your question should indicate what is your design. So from the examples, you can say that thing, the design is either correlation or in the previous one, it's a comparative research design where we are comparing between two groups. Here we are trying to find out the relation between two variables. So correlation research design. Like that, your research question should give an indication to the design that you are following. That should give the indication to the analysis, line of analysis also. Everything is connected. Now, moving to qualitative research question. This is another major types of research question. Just I'm listing the certain types of research question here. I'm not going in detail due to the time constraints here. In qualitative research, we can frame different research question. And in there, we have the provisions of one or two main central research question. And for each central research question, we can bring 2 or 3 sub-research question also. And those questions can be either in contextual mode or in a descriptive mode or evaluation mode or explanatory in nature or exploratory in nature. It can be generative in nature. It can be ideological. It can be ethnographic if it is an ethnographic based study. It can be phenomenological research question if you are going with the phenomenological paradigm. It can be a grounded theory research question when you are going with the grounded theory paradigm. It can be a case study, qualitative case study research question if you're going with a case study paradigm. So like that, depends upon the purpose of the qualitative research and depends upon the paradigm of the research. You need to frame the appropriate research question which is connected to the respective paradigm. As similar to the quantitative research study, comparative research should have a particular type of research question, comparative research question. Like that, here also that kind of connection is required in terms of the paradigm, in terms of the approach. You need to develop your central and sub-research question in qualitative studies also. With that note, I'm just skipping this information to the next topic. So now after research questions, you need to frame your title or along with the research question or along with the statement of the research problem, you need to finalize your title. So from my experience, I can say that I think All these things are not a separate entity or separate steps. All are happening parallelly. Revision, multiple reviews all required. And when you are finalizing your proposal, your statement of the problem, research question, title, aim, objective, then the remaining methods, everything will be in one line. So that is the main purpose actually. So don't think that thing. After preparing the statement of the problem, I have to prepare the research question, then title. No, it's not like that. It is all happening parallelly and multiple revision is required. Finally, you need to reach a point where everything is falling in one line. So coming to the concept of title in a research, the title summarizes the main idea or ideas of your studies. It is not possible for us to give a long title for any study. The title should be very short, crisp, and self-explanatory. And research question, it should be a statement actually. It should not be a question. So with all those things, we need to create the title from the statement of the problem and research question. A good title contains the fewest possible words needed to adequately describe the content and or purpose of your research paper. So it should be self-explanatory. It should be included the variables. It should be included the sample or population, and it should be having some kind of indication to the research design also, as much as possible. At the same time, as much as possible, you need to reduce the word count. As per APA publication, American Psychological Association's publication manual, 7th edition, the characteristics of the title should be concise statement of the main topic. It should be a statement, very concise mode. Should be identify the variables or theoretical issues under the investigation relationship between them. So from the title, any reader should be able to identify what is going to explore with the study or what is presented with the study and what are the variables, what are the relationship between what you're trying to identify between the variables and among whom you are conducting study. All those things should be reflected in the title. It should be fully explanatory when standing alone. So if the title just stand alone without any other content, abstract or anything, it should be easily understood by the readers what exactly this title or paper indicating or intended to understand or identify. Should avoid words that serve no useful purpose. So you can just, you may see in different studies title like that. Um, a study, uh, uh, a study uh, explores relationship between variable A and B among so and so people. In that, you can simply avoid the words explore. Relationship between A and B among so and so people. That's enough. A study explores relationship between A and B among so and so people is not required. So you can just cut short the title by avoiding certain words which doesn't have any sense in that thing or which doesn't require to use in that particular title to understand further thing. Avoid using abbreviations in title as much as possible. Spell out all terms will helps to ensure the accurate information or accurate knowledge about the title. Complete indexing of the research topic. All those will be able to do it when you are avoid using the abbreviations in the title. Then each terminology you need to spell out very clearly. There should not be any confusions in the spellings or the terminology in the title. And the complete information about the research topic should be available. So the title should be connected to the research problem. Then the recommended length for a title as per APA 7th edition is no more than 12 words. Still, if says 12 words, it is accepted 12 to 15 also, but beyond 15, it's not even recommended. So try to reduce the word in your title and give a clear indication of title, indication of your research design, sample and variable in your study. So these are the basic characteristics which are required to consider when you are framing the title. And the research question and title should be closely connected. Now, This is one example I'm giving it. You can read the statement of the research problem first, and then read the research question, then go back and read the title. So I'll start with the statement of the research problem. Bullying represents a significant challenge faced by school children in India. It is one of the most common expressions of aggression among adolescents within education settings and can lead to various psychosocial maladjustments. Historically, bullying was not as a prominent in Indian context. However, recent research conducted by Remya and Kulkarni indicates, in bracket here is mentioned, indicates that 60.4% of students have reported experiencing bullying. In light of the limited empirical evidences available in India, this proposed study seeks to investigate the differences in self-esteem level among bullies, victims, and bully victims, with an emphasis on gender difference. The outcomes of this research are anticipated to contribute valuable insights into the varying levels of self-esteem across the victims and bully victims. So this is just an background of the concept of bullying in Indian context. Why it is required? One or two studies said that I think bullying is prominent or is an upcoming issues among school children. So it has some kind of psychosocial maladjustment or leads to some kind of psychosocial maladjustment. In that background, this particular studies wants to explore how the self-esteem is connected or differ between people who are either bullied or victim of bullying or both bullied and victim of bullying. And then with that difference, again, how gender is making an influence, whether there is any significant gender differences in self-esteem in connection to bullying, role of bullying among school children. So this one paragraph gives a glimpse of idea. What is the prevalence of bullying in current context or current situations in India? This is the statement of the problem which is developed in around 2015 or 16. That is the reason it's quoted a study with the 2010. So from 2014 to 15, there is a lot of other studies happen. So you need to connect in that particular. So 10 years back, this particular study have been conducted. For that particular purpose, they have developed the research statement of the problem. So right now, if you are developing this particular on this particular topics, your statistics and supporting evidence will be definitely different. There are more studies conducted and more factors explored also. And so there are more implications or that means psychological and social implications of bullying have been explored recently. All those things you can quote it if you are developing a research problem right now on this topic. So it has a glimpse on what is the prevalence of this particular thing. And it also talks about the cause and effect of where it is affecting psychosocial maladjustment problem. It leads to psychosocial maladjustment problem. It is an important aspect in education settings, and how the self-esteem, other variable, gender, self-esteem, and this is connected. Those ideas are explained clearly. And from that statement of the problem, the researcher developed a question in a way, do self-esteem differences exist among adolescents based on the role of bullying participation? If yes, how does it differ? So that way they have just brought the essence of the study into one question, not one question, two questions. How the self-esteem differ among adolescents based on the nature of or role of bullying. That means we have three categories. According to the studies, three categories: pure bullies, pure victims, and bully victims. Is their self-esteem differed? And in that, it is not clearly mentioned in the research question, the influence of the gender. But when you are saying among adolescents, it is including different categories of gender. So we can just find out the influence of gender also. But if you're talking about among boys, then it is exclusively one gender. Then there is no need to consider the gender as a variable here. So the word among adolescents indicate that we are considering gender as a variable in the study. So research question is very straightforward and which indicate the design as a comparative research design. That means comparing the self-esteem score between three categories of people, and in that how the gender is influencing. So it leads to the design as a comparative, non-experimental comparative research design, and it indicate the possible line of analysis, which will be, if all assumptions are meeting, it can be a two-way ANOVA analysis or a corresponding non-parametric or one-way ANOVA, something like that. So there is an indication for line of analysis also. Variables are clearly measured: self-esteem, bullying participation, and then gender also. And if yes, how does it differs? Which group is having more and which group is having less? Those information also added. From that research question, developed a title which is again shortened in a statement manner, which is bullying and self-esteem among adolescents in Bangalore. So that's the geographical location. If you're specifying to one area, you can mention. Otherwise, you can omit that also. So you can just again stick to, if you want to go with the state board schools or CBSE board school or ICSE board school, you can go with that thing. Or any particular district or any other state, comparison between Karnataka to Tamil Nadu or South India to North India, all those things you can bring it if you have such kind of intention. So it should be a short title which clearly indicating three variables: bullying, self-esteem, and gender. The moment I am specifying boys, gender is not a variable. I'm looking only for boys. But if I'm keeping adolescents, it indicates that thing. It is including all the gender categories. So like that, three variables are clearly mentioned, and the population of sample also mentioned, adolescents in Bangalore. So it gives a clear idea about the design. This can be slightly modified with a comparative analysis or influence of bullying on self-esteem. Then it indicates the design also. That's another way of writing the title. So this is one sample statement of the research problem, research question, and title I have projected, and which gives an idea how this thing should be connected closely. Now, from this title and research question, I will develop the aim of the study to study the differences of self-esteem across different categories of adolescents based on the role of bullying. So I have developed a aim. Then I can just bring one by one objectives and hypothesis. Hypothesis can be there is a significant difference in self-esteem across different categories of adolescents based on the role of bullying participation. So that's the way I can develop the hypothesis. So I hope you are getting some kind of idea in terms of how the problem to research question, to title, to aim, to objective and hypothesis. Beyond that, how it is connected to the research design, how it is connected to the line of analysis. I hope minimal clarity you are getting it with this particular example. Now, I think this is the last slide, and we have time 7:40 now right now. Small activity which I planned right now. You can just think about a topic of your interest. Frame a statement of the research problem, research question, and a title. And write down those three on your notebook or diary. And then if time permits, we can, one or two people can discuss your topic and we can have a discussion on that thing. The discussion session is open. If anyone has, while doing this activity, if anyone wants to clarify any particular topics, we can do that also. So this another 20 minutes, or not 20 minutes, or we have almost 40 minutes time. So we can do the activity as well as the clarifications. So all of you, I request everyone to please write down, think about a topic and write down statement of the research problem, title, research question in a quick manner. Then we can have a discussion on that thing. If anyone has any doubt during the process also, activity also, you can just raise your hands and ask the questions, or you can post your questions in the chat room also. I hope all of everyone is doing the activity. I'm not getting any response. Few are responding in the chat groups. Hope you are doing the activity. Okay, one is discuss perception of students on AI implications. The topic name is correct. Okay. This is not, it is a good topic, definitely, but it is not enough to give a title. So you need to elaborate that thing. You need to little more work on that thing. AI implications, perception, all those things are there. So slightly reworking is required. So from this title, I figured that is Meenakshi. From this title, I figured that thing it is just the one variable perception of students on AI implications. So maybe it will be a descriptive study among which students, college students or school students. You need to specify that thing. And is there only one variable perception of AI implications or anything else is there? Think about all those things. In thesis, should we prepare research question or hypothesis in a thesis? So normally, if you're looking at the structure of a thesis, you can see research question and hypothesis also. Hypothesis required if you want to test something. If you don't have an intention to test something, then research question and objectives are sufficient. So depends upon what you want to study. If your purpose is to describe the communal aggression or aggression among students in Delhi, then there is no need of a hypothesis because your purpose is to describe how many students are aggressive in nature in that particular city or in that particular college, and what extent it is visible or evident. So there is no need of any particular hypothesis there. But in that same case, if want to study whether the aggression is affecting or aggression is influencing their academic performance, if that is your idea to conduct a study, then there is a need for hypothesis. Research question also required. Does aggression influence academic performance among students? Then you can say that I think there is a significant influence of hypothesis can be there is a significant influence of aggression on academic performance among students in so and so college. You can write that way. So is it required? Both required in thesis? It's based on your topic and what you want to study. I hope that is clear with the question posted by Ankita Kumari. Then the next one can be corporate sustainability initiatives and achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals, an analysis of top NSE listed companies. It seems to be a good title. It gives an indication of a descriptive study where you are focusing on the exploring what are the different corporate sustainability initiatives taken by the corporates to achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So it's a clear title. The internet banned in Manipur, its implication in the college-going students. Again, it's a vague title. You need to unnecessary words are there. You have to say that I think you have to reframe the title by focusing on framing the variables, banning internet, implication of that exact terminology you need to bring in and how to frame that internet banned concept. I need to look into that, but definitely you need to frame that variable. The banning internet, implication of banning internet among college students in Manipur. That can be a title. Again, it has both descriptive and analytical approach. Then I think competency, if I missed out any particular comment, you can repost it. Right now with the Bhagya Lashmi's title, Competency of Science Teachers in the Use of ICT at Secondary School Level. Competency of science teachers in the use of ICT at secondary school level. There are unnecessary words. You need to be reduce the words. Competency of science teachers. Instead of in the use of ICT, you need to find out another terminology which will give more clarity, which is a formal language. In the language is not fine. Otherwise, it's fine, but language is not fine. Digital inclusion and inclusive education among marginalized communities in India, challenges, opportunities, and policy perspective. Digital inclusion and inclusive education. It indicates good topic, good title. It indicates clearly the population, but marginalized communities in India is a larger population, right? Are you going to consider all the marginalized communities? There are different marginalized communities also. So you need to be very specific there. Specific in terms of which marginalized communities, and are you looking all over India or any particular area, state, or a particular group? You need to be very careful. Otherwise, that is quite okay. Effect of technology among students. I think the effect of technology among students of undergraduate level, a sociological inquiry. Effect of technology among students of. Okay, effect of technology among students. What behavior? You need to bring another behavior. Simply among students, you can reframe that with another variable. Effect of technology among students. Performance. Technology on performance among students of undergraduate level. So again, you can reframe it. Effect of technology on performance. Instead of performance, you can bring another variable also which is suitable among on performance among undergraduate students. That is sufficient, more than sufficient. Instead of the students of undergraduate level, you can just rephrase into undergraduate students. So as much as possible, avoid the word redundancy in your title. Do not use too many words to indicate one particular concept. Then for Vishal Rana, India's neighborhood first policy evaluating soft power and regional security. This is connected to a policy. You can name the policy as it is. I'm not that familiar with the exact name of the policy, but ensure that the policy name is exactly reflecting in the title. And then evaluating the soft power and regional security, where or among that some kind of indications required towards the population or geographical area. Are you considering this title is indicating that in the study will be going with the overall country's perspective. Then neighborhood first policy, who's the beneficiary for that thing? So you need to bring that beneficiary's name also in this particular title. So again, that term soft power and regional security, is that connected to the policy or not? Or you are bringing as a new variable? All those things you need to consider. I won't be able to give a clear suggestion right now because that is not the area which I have explored, or not. I'm not familiar with that area also. So, but you can definitely bring the um, beneficiaries or benefactors name or indications in the title, or at least area, geographical area. That gives more clarity. And think about that soft power and regional security, whether the terminology are connecting or using along with this particular policy or not, or do you want to do it separately, like that. Can we use only secondary data that has been given in websites? Yes, you can, but in that case, it will be your study is not based on the primary data, and you need to take the permission from the websites or the data, the authority who owns that particular data. And the research, it won't be a completely an empirical mode study. It is a non-empirical study or a literature-based study. That means you are not using a fresh-hand data, right? So you can do that thing, but it is completely based on a secondary source of information. So you cannot call as an empirical study in that case. You can definitely go with the paper writing based on the secondary source of information. No issue for that thing. But take the permission from the authority who owns the data. Impact of urbanization, and give the appropriate citation and reference for that thing. Impact of urbanization on population growth in Northeast India. Good topic. Clearly mention where you are locating it or where you are concentrating. Northeast India. In Northeast India itself, multiple states are different states are there. Are you concentrating all those things, or you are doing particularly to a one state? Then you can limit that thing. If it is overall all states, you need to take care of the accessibility of data. You need to get the data from all states representing or in that particular area. Then impact of urbanization. So how do you measure that urbanization? Is there any variable? Are you going with a self-prepared questionnaire to understand the concept of urbanization, or any other particular method is there? That is a one thing which I am confusing. Population growth, definitely you can measure through the number in terms of that thing. Corresponding measures you can take it. But how to measure urbanization? That is a question there. So, or you can say that thing, you can go with the qualitative study. That topic is more feasible with a qualitative study. You can conduct interview among different inmates in Northeast India or Northeast statehood, and you can prepare a questionnaire, in-depth questionnaire on various aspects of urbanization and population growth, and then you can bring a thematic analysis or any particular the right analysis for the study. You can bring it and do that thing. So if you want to go with the quantitative study with that title, you need to be careful in terms of which tool you will be used to understand or measure urbanization and population growth. Okay, then after that, study on economic empowerment of rural women through self-employment in selected areas of Imphal East District, Manipur. Quite lengthy title. A study on, you can cut it definitely, economic empowerment of rural women through self-employment. So you can just rewrite just my thought, maybe not accurate or maybe not the way you think, but role of self-employment on empowerment of rural women in Imphal East District, Manipur. That is quite enough, I feel. Right now, if you're counting the word, too many words are there and unnecessarily you have placed the words. Just try to think about the different way of putting it as I suggested. What's the one option? You can think about the other option. Social inequality in health, a comparative study of rural and urban community, a good developed, well-framed title, social inequality in health. That is a variable. And uh, state of residence or area of residence, rural and urban or community, rural and urban community, or community is the second variable. You have rural community and urban community. So it's a comparative analysis. Fine, comparative study. But one question, how do you measure social inequality in health? Is there any scale to measure that thing? If there is no scale, you need to develop a scale to measure that thing. And in that case, do you want to go with the structured courses, the one variable mode, or you are planning to go with the multiple questions? Each one needs to consider separately. So all those things need to be think about. But if there is a scale to measure social inequality in health, then it's a good study which can be easily go with a comparative analysis using inferential statistics. If there is a not tool, psychometrics tool to measure that thing, then you can do a comparative analysis in terms of comparing the frequency and percentage of answers providing to each question that you are framing to develop the social inequality in health. I think I'm making sense to everyone. Going very speedy. I don't know whether I'm missing anyone's comments. To be very frankly, it is not possible for anyone to give suggestions in a very short time like this. I'm trying to give some indications or some points, some thoughts for you all to think about. You need to literally read, think about multiple options in terms of the concept I have explained, and read a lot of research methodology books and understand how it is required, and discuss with your co-researcher or guides, and then revise your title. When you are revising the title, please be sure how do you measure each variables. Is there any tool? What kind of design you can make it, and all those things. So whatever suggestions I'm giving it right now is very, very sudden suggestions, may be having its own negatives and positives. So please understand that thing. Scope of video gaming in primary school education in Tamil Nadu. Yeah. Which scope of video gaming in primary school education? What do you really want to study from that particular study? Are you considering video game as a intervention among school children, or do you want to find out whether is there any negative impact of video gaming on primary school children? So what is exactly you want to study? Are you planning to bring some kind of intervention in primary school education sector through video gaming as a strategy in incorporating in the education sector? Or another way is interpreting that thing. Among school children, primary school children, what is the impact of video gaming? Is it affecting their academic performance or thinking capacity, cognitive aspect? So that is a different study. Both are different entity actually. You need to think about. This title is quite vague, not clear in terms of its purpose. Think about that line. Inclusive education among scheduled caste and scheduled tribes in Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka. Challenges, opportunities, and policy perspectives. Inclusive education among scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. So it has a descriptive element as well as a comparative element, though the title is quite lengthy, but it's framed well. It gives the clear idea about a comparative analysis between two states in terms of inclusive education, particularly for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes students. And there you are considering What are the different challenges, opportunities, and policy perspectives in terms of bringing that particular inclusive education? So description is there, comparison is there. So good study, good title. Just rethink about, is there any way to reduce the words? But seems to be good. But I don't think so. There is a scope for inferential statistics or hypothesis testing. If you have scores of inclusive education, it is the challenges or opportunities with respect to inclusive education. It's very difficult to get a 1 score or 2 score. So you may be going with the different challenges, and you can have a comparative analysis in terms of how many challenges are reported in Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh, or what are the different challenges reported in Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka, what extent it is affecting. That way we can bring a opportunities and the other terminology also. You can bring a comparative analysis by just comparing which state is having more challenges and what are the most repeated or most frequently occurred challenges. That way you can do a comparative analysis, definitely. Impact of online business on rural economy and economic analysis. Again, variables are clear. Online business, you can get it's quite tedious task to understand the rural economy. How do you measure rural economy? The terminology is very vague. Is there any way to measure rural economy? Or you're just going, as far as I'm not from the economic background, so there will be limitation definitely. But from my understanding, rural economy is not based on one particular concept, right? There'll be different factors or components associated that thing. Are you going to do all those things? Are you going to assess all those things? How do you assess it? And are you considering online business as a influencing factor? In that case, you need to have a control group also. People who are not having the online business, how their economic is going on, and you should have a experimental the group where online business is doing it, how their economy is affecting. Or are you going to analyze the various online businesses in the rural community or rural area, how it is overall contributed to the rural development? Then it's a quite big study. Now you need to bring strategies clearly to uh, measure what are the strategies, what are the different components you are going to consider under that study. All those things are important. Then okay, I think someone written off Assam. I'm not able to figure it with okay, impact of online business. Okay, Emma, okay. With respect to Assam state, fine. Understood. So only thing is that you need to consider that the terminology online business and rural economy is a broader topic. And what are the exact things you are measuring it? You can go with this title, but explanation should be required in terms of statement of the problem, or you have to bring multiple objectives, bringing different aspects of rural economy similar to that. Fine. Young technical aspirants, students, early career learners, or teenagers actively pursuing STEM, coding, robotics, AI, etc. Okay. Okay, that is an explanation for your sample, right? Luke is right. So I think this is an explanation or a sample description. Students or early career learners or teenagers for actively pursuing STEM, coding, robotics, AI. You define them as young technical aspirants, fine. Title Beyond the Barriers, How Active Participation in Hackathons Shapes Career Intentions of Young Technical Aspirants. Good area of study, quite interesting. But how active participation, instead of bringing that question words and title, we can make a statement. Beyond the barriers, colon, fine. Role of active participation in uh, hackathons on career intention. Something like that you can bring it. So just try to change that question from the title. It is not always acceptable to bring a question in the research title. There are studies like that, but I feel we can make it into statement mode. For example, influence of or role of active participation in hackathons on career intentions among youth, young technical aspirants. So if you're defining your sample as a young technical aspirants, you need to use the terminology from title to last line in your report. Don't use the youth. There somewhere you have mentioned youth, young technical aspirants. Fine. So here of young technical aspirants. So only suggestion is that change to, as if possible, change the question to a statement in that title. AI anxiety and employment anxiety, understanding the moderating role of emotional intelligence. Yeah, that is a quite clear, defined title. But understanding is not required. You can just say moderating role of emotional intelligence, AI anxiety and employment anxiety, colon, moderation effect of emotional intelligence. That is enough, I think. So you can remove the word understanding. Otherwise, the variables are very clear, AI anxiety and employment anxiety, but it is lacking the information about the population of sample. Employment anxiety indicate that I think it is a group of employees, but are you in the sense of employment or employees or corporate employees or banking employees or teachers or healthcare things? There are different types of employees, government employees, private employees. So think about that and try to bring that demarcation in your title. AI anxiety and employee anxiety among so and so people, among corporate employees. Or the moderating role of emotional intelligence on AI anxiety and employment anxiety among corporate employees. Something like that, you can bring it. But the word of understanding I feel it is not required. But you can take a call, definitely. Health utilization is an area only, just a broader area. Whether snowball effect sampling can be employed in qualitative research. Okay, this question is related to the qualitative research methodology and the possible methodology sampling methods can be used in qualitative research. I think that will be handled by the resource person who's taking qualitative research in the coming days. I can answer, but it's not ethically right to answer that question as it is already planned in the session. Then additional tool with education if video gaming will help. Okay, so I understood that thing. So that means you are planning video gaming as a strategy in your thing. Okay. That you need to bring it very clearly. You need to frame the title little with more clarity and be very careful because it may indicate various different aspect of the topic also. So you can bring in that thing video gaming. Okay. Effect of video impact of video effect of video gaming on education. You need to bring. I'm not able to suggest something right now, but okay, I forgot the Miss Uma. I think you need to be clearly indicate how video gaming as a strategy in the title or tool in the title for educating the primary school children. So quite tricky. You need to be careful. That thing. I can't suggest anything right now. I'm not able to think. Sorry. Economic empowerment of rural women through self-employment. A study not required. When you're giving a title, it's indicating a study, right? So if you want to bring a comparative study, a correlation study, or an intervention study, then definitely it is possible. Otherwise, simply bringing a term, a study, not required. Economic empowerment of rural women through self-employment. Where? Which area? Rural? Any particular state? Those things you need to be mentioned. Rural women through self-employment schemes. Good, but it's a descriptive study or exploratory study. Mention the area, geographical area, which will be helping to streamline your title. Scope of counseling among mobile addicted teenagers in Northeast India. So instead of bringing the term counseling, okay, influence of counseling, role of counseling, you can bring it like that. But counseling is a broader area, broader techniques also. The different therapies are there. So you need to be very careful. Or are you having two groups, people who are not undergoing counseling, professional counseling, and people who are undergoing different counseling? You can bring two types of counseling techniques also, and which will be more effective. That way you can study how you can control mobile addiction among teenagers in that particular area. So I feel you can bring two types of counseling methods or two techniques of counseling, or online counseling and direct counseling, something. Or you can have a control group where the people, the students or teenagers are not getting counseling, and their level of addictions currently and post 3 months, something like that. Then another group with the counseling, their pre and post score. You can do a quasi experimental study with that thing. Impact of college-going students in Imphal East District on the internet ban. Same thing. Due to the riot in Manipur. Yes, only 15 minutes left. I think we can open the session for discussion also. We can just wind up the activity part. I'm so happy that quite actively participated. I got a number of queries and title come, but I don't know whether I will be able to address all the queries within the time frame as you expected. Definitely there will be negatives or mistakes the way I understood your intention or your title. Please excuse me, but I feel I just think that I tried to do a good justification for all the queries. If anyone is missing, okay. This Nandita ma'am, your impact of college-going students in Imphal East District on the internet ban. Again, this is a quite lengthy title. You need to reduce it, the title. Then whether both quantitative and qualitative data can done in a research. Yes, of course, there comes the scope of mixed method. If you are coming up with some topic which required both quantitative and qualitative data to support each other, you can definitely think about a mixed methods. There are different research design for mixed methods that you will get an understanding from the upcoming classes. I think mixed method research design is there in the schedule. It is possible. Definitely it is. If the topic demands both quantitative and qualitative data, definitely you can go with that thing. What is the procedure of mixed research design, qualitative plus quantitative? Same thing. I think, if I'm not wrong, the session is planned with the mixed method research design also. You will get an idea there. I think you can clarify the doubt with the resource person who is expert in that field. I think any other queries related to topics that I have handled in the second session, then please ask that thing. I think we can wind up with the title related discussion or activity related discussion. Just keep the session open for clarification of any points discussed today's session.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah, explain my.
So I'll just stop sharing of my screen.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
This
yes,
session is open for the discussion.
yes, yes.
Statement of the problem, ma'am. Could you please repeat? There was huge
Thank you so much,
problem my side.
ma'am.
Okay, ma'am, 1
Extend
minute,
my
ma'am. One query
deepest
has come.
gratitude to the eminent
Ma'am,
resource person,
ma'am,
Dr.
excuse
Anu
me,
ma'am,
ma'am.
for taking her busy schedule to enlighten us on you have
Thank you, ma'am.
now. Hello. How? Ah. What over? Thank you so much. I extend my deepest gratitude to the eminent resource person, ma'am, for taking her busy schedule to enlighten. Thank you, ma'am, for laying such a solid foundation. Your insights into various types of a process of research combined with a process of research combined with crucial emphasis on research ethics have given us a profound framework to conduct our academic work with integrity and clarity. Research often feels like vast ocean, but today you provided with us with a compass on the research with examples. Your session was transitioning a broad area of interest. A pinpointed, viable research problem was exceptionally clear and practical with examples. The session will undoubtedly help us refine our scholarly pursuits. And finally, thank you all participants for your active engagement and thought-provoking questions. Let us carry this insight forward into our next research project. Last but not the least, I thank Vanessa. Thank you all. Have a nice day.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
With this came to an end of the 11th and 12th session of the 15th day of the 15th day, 6th day of 12 and 11 and 12 session on the 6th day of the 15th day International uh, FDP. Thank you all the participants for your active participation on the 6th day hosted by Bengal College, Manipur. Wishing you all a pleasant evening. Thank you so much, ma'am.